Today's podcast is brought to you by artistpodcast.com, which interviews leading fine art experts. Check out their most recent episode and get their free ebook, The 5 Keys to Art Investing Success. After you check out artistpodcast.com, please take a moment to rate us on iTunes and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Then feel free to share us with your like-minded friends and politicos. If you'd like to support women in podcasting and women in media, or just get in on the ground floor of our little project, head over to MuellerSheWrote.com and subscribe now. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get access to the MSW Book Club, our entire archive of bonus episodes, ad-free content, our weekly newsletter, and all kinds of great thank you gifts. We can't express how grateful we are to be able to bring you all the pertinent news each week, so thank you for making all this possible. This podcast contains laughter.
So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians.
What do I have to get involved with Putin for? I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I don't know anything about him other than he will respect me. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
So, it is political. You're a communist.
No, Mr. Green. Communism is just a red herring. Like all members of the oldest profession, I'm a capitalist.
Good morning. Happy Monday. Poop and slavery.
Yes.
Poop and slavery. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. This is Mueller, She Wrote. I'm your anonymous host, AG, smashing the crotch act or whatever I'm doing. And with me, as always, is Jaleesa Johnson.
Hello.
And Jordan Coburn.
Hello.
And welcome to our season 2 premiere.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, we figured it's been a year. The investigation's a year old. Let's start our seasons with the anniversary of the investigation.
If this is your first time listening to us, you should go back to the last episode so you understand that we weren't just saying poop and slavery for no reason.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to Monday morning.
Did I hear that right?
It's how we'd like to welcome you to our episode. We got some great news this week. We are going to be at Politicon in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Convention Center in October, the 20th and the 21st. So please come down, check us out, meet us.
Excited.
I'll be wearing a paper bag over my head, probably. I
With a question mark on it.
Yeah. I don't know. Just make sure to cut out eye holes.
There you go.
And we have all sorts of awesome stuff in store for you today for this season premiere. Jaleesa is going to go over some new news about her boyfriend, Elliot Brody.
Yes, the Brody bunch.
How do we get such shitty boyfriends?
Yeah.
So we deserve
better. Yes, we deserve better. You're totally right. We all deserve better.
You really do. And Jordan's going to give us a Roger Stone update.
Not my boyfriend.
Not your boyfriend. And I'm going to tell you about a recent court filing by Mueller. Also, we have some amazing guests calling in this week, including Rabia Chaudry. She's the woman who kicked off the Serial podcast, and she's the co-host of the 45th Pod. And
so cool.
Yes, and she's amazing. She's an attorney. She's a Pakistani American. I love her. She's incredible. Her book about Adnan Syed is incredible. If you like the Serial podcast, grab the audiobook. It's an extension, and it goes way deeper than the podcast does itself.
Nice.
And also today we have Chris Kluwe, former NFL player, punter for the Minnesota Vikings, total nerd. And absolutely fantastic human being.
The best, yes.
So we have a jam-packed show, so let's get it going with just the facts. Okay, we learned Monday that Cohen helped pitch the Marshall Plan. For a quick reminder about the Marshall Plan, check out episode 6. There's so much important information we've referred back to in episode 6 over and over again. And the Marshall Plan is basically this idea by Flynn and Copson. They were texting about it during the inauguration that they were going to build a bunch of nuclear reactors in Saudi Arabia, and then they would have reasons to build bases in the Middle East to guard those reactors, and then they were going to, quote, recolonize the Middle East.
Oh, God. What if that was just a bit?
That's elaborate, yeah.
You wonder, right? Like, that's a weird chunk.
Very intricate.
So much important information we've referred back to in that episode, so go check out episode 6. Sorry about the sound quality. So in a story from the Wall Street Journal, Cohen helped a major donor to Trump's inauguration named Franklin Haney pitch a nuclear power investment to the Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund at a meeting in April. Haney hired Cohen as a consultant, much like AT&T did and the Korean Aerospace and Columbus Nova and Novartis.
For access
right.
to the president.
Mm-hmm. And Cohen and Haney met with Al Thani. That's one of the Qatari dudes that at the Trump Tower meeting after the Rosneft deal that Avenatti leaked. They met at the Four Seasons in Miami.
Oh.
that's a big place for them, the Four Seasons. They have rewards
Fancy.
members, I guess.
Yeah.
The Atomic Energy Act prohibits the Nuclear Regulatory Commission from issuing licenses to nuclear operators that are owned by foreign people or entities. So breaking the law. Big news on Monday. We learned that Nader and Broidy pitched $1 billion in business to Imbissa and Imbiza. That's the Saudi prince and the UAE prince. Two princes. That's a terrible song.
Oh my God. One of the worst.
You probably like them. You're an unapologetic fan of Nickelback. So
I am.
Me
And
too.
Creed.
Yeah.
So
Dude, I love Creed.
Creed is amazing.
All right.
With arms wide open.
But yeah, Two Princes I do not stand by. That song I'll skip every time.
I feel the same way about John Popper. It's like, I'm
I don't
good.
know that one. There's always we get to a point where I don't know anything.
Eventually.
Yeah,
A long enough timeline, you know nothing. So Jaleesa is going to go over this treasure trove of emails that the Associated Press got a hold of later in the show about this Nader Broidy $1 billion hoo-ha. On Monday, Trump and Justice have decided to meet. I call them Justice now. It's the Department of Justice. John Kelly was to set up a meeting with Nunes, Gowdy, Chris Wray, Trump, Rosenstein, and the DNI director Coates.
Interesting.
And another DOJ guy named Ed O'Callahan. We've talked about him. He's the new Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General.
It's a mouthful.
PADAG.
Ooh.
PADAG.
Paydag.
People against goodness and normalcy. PAGAN. Pagan.
Trump tweeted Sunday that he was going to formally demand that the investigators investigate themselves. Rosenstein immediately complied by referring the matter to Horowitz. He's the Department of Justice Inspector General. Yeah, he's the guy who did the scathing report on McCabe.
Yeah,
my boyfriend.
Yeah,
I have a cooler boyfriend.
You really do.
It's not
You
fair.
really do.
Well, it's because I get to pick.
Okay.
This is true.
Trump has blocked the Democrats from this meeting. At first, he was basically politicizing the meeting. So that was interesting. We'll go over a little bit more about those meetings later on. Mueller got one step closer to flipping Cohen on Tuesday with his business partner, Evgeny Friedman, the taxi king of New York.
Ooh.
You're Abe Froman,
That's right. I'm Abe Froman.
the sausage king of Chicago.
Yeah, that's me.
Everyone Trump knows has a king nickname. There's the taxi king, the condo king, lots of kings. I think he has a king thing. On a chessboard, though, the king is the weakest piece. So, this taxi
Wow,
king.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, pawns.
That's pretty meta.
Pawns can even move two spaces on their first out. So it's like, you suck.
If Trump's
just think of
king, sorry. I was just going to say, who's our queen? Like Oprah? Like, we're...
Yas queen. That's all I know.
Yeah.
It's just Yas queen.
I like how his wife is completely out of the question.
Oh, yeah. I
As
didn't
the
even
answer to
consider
that.
Yeah.
Good old Flotus with the bad kidneys.
Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She's okay. I was kind of hoping it was a cover-up because she was talking to Mueller, but it's probably not true.
Oh, my goodness.
That's just a tinfoil hat. Don't ignore me on
That's
that.
a
That's
good
not
one,
real
though.
conjecture.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
So this taxi king pleaded guilty to tax evasion and larceny, and he got a sweetheart deal. He went from 125 years in prison to no jail time, and went from $5 million owing in back taxes to $50,000.
I want his
Trump
lawyer.
change.
Trump change instead of Trump change. That's funny. Trump
Actually, I
change.
said Trump change, but but that's funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
you.
Trump change.
Trump change is better, yeah.
Yeah, oftentimes what I hear is more interesting than what's actually said. But yeah, no, that is chump change to him. But in order to get that kind of a deal, he has to have like the bomb proffer, right? Like he's got to be offering something amazing,
Right.
Very juicy for prosecutors, either in New York State or the Southern District of New York, U.S. Attorney's Office, or both, or even Mueller.
He's just got the goods, yeah.
He's got something. We also learned Tuesday that Trump's lawyers are looking to narrow the scope of the Mueller interview. They want to limit or eliminate questions about Trump's conduct after he took office. So all the obstruction of justice. He doesn't want to.
Yeah,
I don't
just
want to
forget
talk
about
about that. The lawyers also floated the idea of just having written answers, but Mueller's already turned them down on that. So I don't think Mueller will go for it. I think Mueller's line is a time limit with lawyers present to discuss obstruction and collusion, at least. I mean, those 4 areas that we've talked about several times.
Can I just say, it is so satisfying to be at this point in time where people before were saying it was such a witch hunt and it was absolutely nothing, and now it's like national news, they're having confidential meetings, they're talking in detail and trying to make deals about how it's going to go down. It's like, fuck all of you guys.
Yes.
Seriously.
But they still haven't moved on that. They still think it's a witch hunt.
Oh, right. Well, because you have to. You can't turn back at that point. It's like, I may as well just stick to my guns.
You're like Theon Greyjoy. You're like, I'm an asshole now. It's just the way that it is.
Totally.
I can't go back.
There's a poll at 51% of Americans don't believe that Mueller's uncovered any crimes.
59.
59? Oh, no.
I think it's 59. I don't know. I'll double check. But
it's definitely the majority,
It's way too much.
It is too much. It's better than what it could be, though, because that's how math works.
There's probably a little margin of error. But they definitely need to listen to our podcast.
Yes, all
that's
those people can be new patrons.
Yeah, join us now. We only need 9,500 more.
Yes.
We can quit our day jobs.
Oh, God. Save me.
Provided I don't get fired, right? Provided there's not some investigation into me.
Oh, my goodness. I hope not.
Like I said, they asked for my employee records last year, and I flipped out. I was like, what? No.
Uh-oh.
And they didn't tell me what it was about. So Freedom of Information Act is a one-way street. You don't get to get the information on why they're asking.
Right,
You just have to give it over.
It's tricky.
Oh, yeah.
Giuliani pivoted Tuesday from Trump is innocent to, so what if Trump colluded? There's nothing illegal about it.
Oh, God.
And he said the emails from Russia were like a gift.
Oh.
Okay, Rudy. I think Rudy is probably helping our cause.
Oh, well, definitely.
More than he realizes.
Oh, for sure. Do you think he has dementia?
They are
he might
pretty up in that age. I mean, if nothing else, delusional can be like any age.
Maybe his tooth implants are affecting his brain.
Oh, man. I feel so bad now.
You're so cute. You're like, oh, poor fella.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. So I think Rudy Giuliani's on our side. I don't know what's going on, but I'm rooting for him.
Oh, yeah.
Rudy, 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 Rudy.
I'm sorry, Jaleesa, were you going to say something?
I was going to start chanting Rudy. Honestly, that's perfect. Yes.
I'm glad that you guys get a reference that I brought into
every
the
now
show.
and then, yeah.
Some guy on Twitter was like, this is a great podcast, but these little clips are so annoying. And I'm like, that's like our number one thing.
Yeah.
It's so funny. There's always somebody. There's always haters. Mueller and lawyers from Concord Management filed jointly Tuesday for a continuance of the case of Concord Management's indictment. They're part of the 13 Russians indictment. When I said a bunch of Russians, that's them. They both filed for this continuance because of the sheer volume of evidence that has to be reviewed. And in the filing, they put some details about the amount of evidence just in this case. There is 1.5 to 2 terabytes of digital information. I couldn't fill a terabyte with every song I've ever listened to in my whole life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's all that digital information, as well as documents from, quote, hundreds of different facilities, most of which are in Russian, so they have to translate them all.
Oh, jeez.
So they've asked to move the date from May 22nd to August 28th. So
to just review all that. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a lot, yeah.
To go forward with that indictment. Then Wednesday happened. What's going on with Wednesdays? Like, the most news comes out on Wednesday.
Hump day. Yeah.
Are you in my brain?
I think so. We're like twins now. Yeah.
Mike.
Sisters from another mister.
Hump day.
Yeah.
Definitely another mister.
It has to be.
So Trump got caught saying that he discredits and demeans the press on purpose so that when they write negative news about him, no one will believe it.
Oh, yeah.
That's according to a talk he had with Leslie Stahl behind the cameras. He's like a dumber Joseph Goebbels. Goebbels took this approach, and as do most fascists and authoritarians.
Yes.
But they don't blab about it using fourth grade words, right? Trump
so
is
true.
like a toddler Goebbels. That's what I call him.
Little baby dictator.
Yeah,
oh,
I'm
my
gonna
goodness.
call him that from now on.
Yeah.
Hashtag toddler Goebbels.
If a smart Trump ever came along, like if Mueller could be Trump.
Oh, don't say that.
Dude.
No, don't jinx it.
That would be terrifying.
Honestly, I'm afraid that, Trump is the beginning of a fascist America, not the end. Like, I think he is the first.
Yeah, all empires fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all do.
For sure. But we have to insist that we're not an empire. And it's like,
come on.
You gotta be honest with yourselves a little bit just so you can fortify yourself appropriately.
Yeah. Like, really? Like, my goddaughter goes, honestly.
Honestly.
So funny.
Who throws a cupcake?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Who throws a
adorable.
cupcake? She cocks her head to one side and she goes, honestly. And she's,
what is that from again, by the way? That
Austin Powers.
Oh,
Austin
that's
Powers.
right.
We learned Wednesday that Kush got his security clearance back and that he spent 7 hours with Mueller's team in April. And I wish these stories didn't drop together because it made people think they were connected somehow.
Oh.
They are not. As far as the security clearance goes, the FBI doesn't decide. They gather all the information and hand it over. So they finally finished their report. It probably took so long because of all the money Kush has tied in foreign interests.
Yeah,
And
the people that decide is that room of 17-year-olds, right?
Yeah, no. Yeah, they basically, you hide a Smirnoff Ice, and if you find it, you get security clearance.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
That's it's called top secret icing.
Very nice.
But Trump has the final say, and it appears he's decided to grant Kush clearance anyhow.
Oh, really?
Now, it's entirely possible that the FBI cleared Kush and said he has no foreign issues and is not compromised at all, but that's not true at all.
Yeah, I mean, he could have a wire. That's a thing, right?
I don't know.
I don't, yeah.
Our listeners were kind of freaking out. There's some people posting in our group like, is anyone else freaking out about this? Why does it seem like he's letting Kushner off the hook right now?
Right.
What's happening?
I'm wondering what this all means. It means something, right?
Well, the second part of that story is that Kush sat down for a second interview with Mueller's team in April, right? That's the fact. Here's my theory. I think Kush is flipped.
Oh.
You don't take 7 hours to repeat the same bullshit answers you gave to Congress over and over, right? Mueller had him dead to rights on something, probably financial, and got Kush to roll on Trump's obstruction of justice, or at least for the real reasons he fired Comey. So I think Mueller handed off his financial shit to the Eastern District of New York, then used those potential crimes plus lying to special counsel to roll him on Trump. So look for a guilty plea from Kush. Either that or Mueller just used the lying to roll him and sent all his financial crimes to the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of New York, who will charge him. It's hard to tell if it would have taken all that to roll him up or not. He seems pretty wispy.
He does.
You know what I mean?
And I don't think he's loyal to Trump the same way Cohen is.
I don't think he is at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
so if he can get away with flipping, I think he would a lot easier than Cohen.
Trump made his wife cry, you know? So.
Yeah.
Monster.
It's like dumb Godzilla.
Dumb Godzilla?
Yeah, in comparison.
Not the educated Godzilla that we're used to?
He makes Godzilla like sophisticated in this comparison.
Shout out to Russell Brock.
Oh, yeah.
Mueller's team signaled Wednesday that they're ready to sentence Papadopoulos. And that could mean a few things. First, it means they're done getting information from him, for sure. Joyce Vance, whom I trust implicitly, says that this move likely means that Mueller will not use him as a trial witness. That could be because Mueller won't be indicting anyone that Papadop's testimony is used for, or because the case is so tight without him, or because he's a shitty witness. I think it's a combination of the last two things.
It's gotta be, yeah.
I think he's got a tight case without him, and I think he's just a shitty witness.
Yeah, he's kind of a shitty person. He couldn't even be trusted on his own side, you know? Like
no, he keeps drunk blabbing to people
totally.
in nightclubs, the hottest nightclub.
It's one thing to flip, it's another thing to like get on the stand and actually be useful to the other side.
Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of what I think, is put beans on that. Also, Wednesday we found out Cohen was paid $400,000 by the Ukraine to set up a meeting with Trump, which he did. So Trump met with the Ukraine at the White House, and a couple days later, the Ukraine stopped their investigations into Manafort.
And that's the stuff Trump doesn't want them to have in their scope.
Yes.
Understandably.
Some Trump supporters might ask, what's wrong with that? That's not illegal. Yes, it is. It's obstruction of justice. Even though he was shutting down another country's investigations, he was preventing evidence that could be detrimental to him from reaching the U.S. federal prosecutors in the Manafort case. If Trump paid the Ukraine in missiles to stop them from giving Mueller evidence that could lead to Manafort flipping, that is corrupt intent and it's obstruction of justice. It is illegal. And the Cohen payout is also illegal because he did not register under FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act.
If there were a children's book, Pharaoh would be this cute little character that they keep neglecting.
Nobody puts FARA in it.
No one uses Pharaoh.
Like, I'll save you.
It's so simple.
Help me. Just a couple forms. Seriously, just sign in triplicate. Come on.
Oh, like a teddy bear or something, yeah.
Care Bear stare.
I love it.
Giuliani said Wednesday that the truth is relative. See, Jaleesa, that's what I'm getting at when I say morality
that's dangerous.
is relative.
You're totally right. Oh, no.
Truth is not relative. Justice is not relative. It is or it isn't.
Okay.
It's like Kellyanne's alternative facts.
You're right. You're totally right about this. This is the dangerous side of like subjective morality. And I think the only reason that I've come to terms with that is because of like ISIS exists and people like them have always existed. So I'm like, well, I don't agree with them, but they think it's right. But you're right. We got to draw a line because that's where you have the wars. And
cutting off people's heads is wrong.
Yes, it is. But they don't think so. So I was like, well, I just don't want to say this anymore.
It's universally incorrect behavior.
It's so wrong. It's so wrong.
The truth is not relative. And Giuliani told the Washington Post that Trump would sit down with Mueller and then told BuzzFeed he wouldn't until the whole Spygate thing was figured out.
Oh, my goodness.
God.
And by the way, Trump was caught telling colleagues that he made up the word Spygate, and he used the word spy because it sounds worse than informant, and it's catchy. So if you believe there's a Spygate and you can't tell you're being marketed to, then you probably have Trump steaks in your freezer. And you might have gone to Trump University.
But her emails, those are the same bunch of people.
Gullible.
Yeah. Talk about Stalin, too. Like, no pun intended. He's just like, Spygate, yeah, I'm not going to do anything until that's figured out. Like, he's just making up investigations then. Like,
yeah, he's fancy that way. He I'll give it to him. He's good at marketing.
Yes, so
to dumb people.
Exactly.
With bad taste.
He's a genius in that sense.
And there's a lot of them, apparently.
There's enough of them. Yeah.
Still on Wednesday, we're still on Wednesday, the White House bowed under pressure from Democrats and added a second Department of Justice and FBI briefing on the informant for the Gang of Eight now, which is a bipartisan group. Prior to that, as we mentioned earlier, it was only going to be Nunes and his no-tilde handler, Trey Gowdy. They always send him to, like, I don't know, hold him back, I guess. Hold Nunes back.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. No, don't do it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it, man. But yeah, so enough people were like, excuse me, that they added a second briefing for the Gang of Eight.
Wow.
And then right before I went to bed on Wednesday, I learned that the FBI had seized control of a Russian botnet where Fancy Bear lived. So a small ray of sunshine in the darkness of Kush having security clearance.
Yeah.
is that, because that was kind of a shitty news day. But that was like the little
cherry on top.
silver lining of the day. Oh, we seized the botnet. Yes.
So what is a botnet? Is this a physical thing, or it sounds very metaphysical?
Yeah, like the dark web.
No, it's like the Internet Research Agency. It's like a.
How do they seize that?
The servers.
They take them back.
Yeah. They take them.
Nice.
Okay. And I don't know if they physically went and got them or they hacked them.
So there was some physical thing that was seized.
Yeah, or digitally
into.
seized. Right.
Got it. Yeah.
I'm not sure they didn't give details on that.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if you were referring to like a house or something.
Yeah.
I was like
the botnet hotel.
Gang of
It's right next to the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Nice.
Although botnet would only suggest digital things.
Yeah. It's a troll farm basically.
I'm with you, Jordan. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I know. I've heard botnet this whole time, and I've just been using context clues to like, oh yeah, I mean, I got it. But then he said seize. I was like, well, how do you seize what I've been thinking
something
of?
intangible?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
No, it was Fancy Bear's house. It was just a house,
a little wooden cottage.
A little cottage.
That's what I imagined too, like
woods.
Lord of the Rings.
Like Goldilocks,
like a gingerbread house.
Yeah.
Style. Yeah.
Adorable.
There's a witch inside.
Yeah.
Which is great because there's a witch hunt. So
yeah. Oh my goodness.
We'll find her.
I see a sketch in here somewhere. SNL, hit us up.
I know. We're very riffy today.
Yeah, we're real riffy.
Woo.
Yeah.
Thursday, Emmett T. Flood surprised everyone by showing up to the Justice Department briefing. I have never in my whole fucking life have heard of the subject of an investigation being able to send his lawyer to the prosecutors before he's indicted to get a look at the evidence against him. This completely shits on the rule of law. It shits on the Constitution. And as a veteran, I am personally offended by a man, first of all, who runs away from service 5 times, then uses my country for his own personal profit, and then circumvents the law to benefit only himself.
Is it like he's shitting on the Constitution or he's using it as toilet paper?
Both.
They're equally offensive, right? Okay, I'm trying to visualize it.
He's using it as a poop knife. And if you don't know what that is, Google it.
Like a little net to catch it, yeah.
I seriously hope he goes down and goes down hard. I cannot express how unbelievable and offensive this is, and I don't understand how anyone who has ever served in the military can support this blatant disrespect of the Constitution. These are the same people who were mad when Obama did an end run, quote unquote, around the Constitution to create DACA. Some feel it was an unconstitutional utilization of power. The courts have disagreed so far. Weird, Obama was a constitutional lawyer and head of the Harvard Law Review.
Right.
But yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So the courts have disagreed on that. So, and the thing is that DACA, that program helped 1 million kids and saved 1 million families. This shit that Trump's doing, all Trump's actions do here is cover up his crimes and protect his ability to soak taxpayers for personal gain, all while undermining the intelligence community and their ability to use confidential informants in the future. So fuck you if you support him.
I hate.
And then, you guys, and then Sarah Sanders tells the press that John Kelly and Emmett T. Flood were only there to give a briefing on transparency, and then they plan to leave. But sources now say that those two only left when several people cried foul. Probably the Justice Department, probably the PADAG, right?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, you can't fucking be here. This is ridiculous. So Sarah Sanders lied to us again. What?
Yeah, shocker.
She came out without the smoky eye this week, and I have to say, she needs to go back to it.
Yeah.
She's way younger than me. It freaks me out.
It is a little sinister. Yeah. So it's not body shaming, right? It's more like a tip.
Well, it freaks me out.
That's where my brain was too. I was like, we're gonna get shit for that.
At my age, it freaks me out when people who I think are decidedly older than me are not.
Yeah.
For example, Cliff Clavin from Cheers was 37.
Oh.
His character was 37 years old. What? Okay. And I love that guy. I do.
I stand by Michelle Wolf too. She started the smoky eye joke, and I'm just gonna follow her lead because she's brilliant. Yeah,
it's funny.
It's funny, and it's not the worst thing you could say about her, like body shaming wise. So
yeah, we're not making monkey memes,
right? Yeah, good point.
If that's why Sarah stopped doing it, though, that's really sad. That makes me sad.
Oh no, you're right. If it actually is, I didn't even.
If she was hurt
that.
on the inside about her smoky eye, and then
yeah, she didn't laugh at the joke. Man, it's
Well,
tough. When I hate someone, it's like I become like them a little bit.
Well, she came,
Yeah.
and she came out this week saying that she was sad that people think she's a liar.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Now that's a different. Yeah,
I was
that's
like, well,
a whole.
maybe don't lie a lot.
Yeah.
And then you won't have that judgment.
She's like, I'm not a liar. I'm just delusional. There's a difference.
Yeah, she's totally.
I gave
in
the
denial.
best information I had at the time, knowing it was complete bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were wondering what Flood and Kelly were doing at the meeting, wonder no more. Because Giuliani told Politico on Friday that Trump's team wanted to know the details of the charges against them so that they could build their defense. He just came right out with it in broad daylight. That's their game now. Just tell people you're up to bullshit, breaking the law, and they'll probably still support you.
Yeah, exactly.
Much like how he said that maybe Trump did collude, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Setting up their defense.
Belittling it. Yeah.
Well, belittling the press. But,
Exactly.
But setting up their defense. No, not belittling it.
The crime.
Grabbing it.
You don't think it's like saying, yeah, I did it, but what's the big deal?
Oh, belittling conspiracy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like no shock to the people now. It's like, oh, yeah, Trump told us. He wouldn't tell us if it were a big deal.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's scary. The same way that they dismantled the news, basically.
Yeah,
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all part of his little plan.
Yeah.
It's effective.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
It's not what Giuliana, oh gosh.
Oh, my God. That's him with the drag costume.
Oh, yeah, in that
Giuliana.
video. He better have called himself that or he missed a great opportunity.
Man. You dirty man.
I'm Juliana.
Can we put a link to that in the newsletter this week?
Sure, yeah.
Can you make a note of that? Because we got to send that out. If you don't know what we're talking about.
Note, yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't put it in there, huh? But
if you don't get the newsletter, it's $1.
Yeah, $1, and you get so much more. But anyway, it's not illegal for him to do that. It's just against all precedent that's ever been set, basically, right?
I believe so.
To get the evidence against you before? No, that's
or just
it's
it's just like who fucking does that? Don't do that. But it's not illegal.
It's a norm. It's It's just a. I actually do think it's obstruction of justice.
Yeah,
which maybe isn't illegal yet, like in certain. Elements, but it needs to be maybe.
No, I think it might be obstruction of justice. Like if you shook down a witness against you, and asked him like, "What are you going to tell him? Would you tell him?" That's obstruction of justice.
Because it's intimidating a witness.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
But
so,
I wonder if.
I don't know. I think it's obstruction of justice. If you can prove corrupt intent, which is the big part of obstruction, then I think that's what it is.
Okay.
We also learned Friday that the lawyer Peter Gleason, who filed the motion to suppress the communications he had with Cohen about the 2 women who came with assault charges against Schneiderman. Remember this guy? Where he wrote to the court and said, I talked to Cohen about these 2 women who came to me, different from the 4 women who came forward with the assault and sexual assault charges against A.G. Schneiderman, the Attorney General in Southern District of New York.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy, that motion that he filed to suppress that evidence was denied.
Oh, snap.
And those communications will be sent to the special master for consideration.
Nice. Good, good.
Now, obviously, if it falls under the purview or under the umbrella of attorney-client privileged
then we won't
communication,
see it. Yeah.
It will not go to the prosecutors.
But at least it'll have a chance to get sorted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
Nice.
is going to Barbara Jones.
Good. That's progress.
Yes, good news. We also found out that Trump and Mueller had a date. They had a date.
What?
January 27th was their date. They had agreed to sit down and talk about the 16 topics in the 4 areas for 4 hours. The meeting was supposed to take place at Camp David. And this was, of course, before Cohen was raided.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun to note that had they sat down, the investigation into obstruction would probably be over by now.
Trump would have put out. You know he would have.
So, well, it
totally,
just, or because he's sitting there like, when's it going to be over? It's a cloud.
Oh, yeah.
That part would be over by now if you had just sat down.
Right.
But perjury trap, yeah, if you're a liar.
Exactly. He would have totally sold himself out.
So, and then finally, you guys, we got some news that Spain handed over tapes of wiretapped phone conversations involving torsion. That's the Russian banker with ties to the NRA.
Alexander.
One of your boyfriends,
Yeah.
Jordan. And those conversations, those conversations led to a meeting with Donald Trump Jr. It's really funny in my notes. I usually put DTJR, but right here it says DTFU.
Nice.
So that's funny. Typo. Hilarious typo. So those conversations led to the meeting with Donald Trump Jr. during the NRA convention in May of 2016. These conversations were between torsion and a convicted Russian money launderer named Romanov. And in these calls, Romanov refers to torsion as, quote, El Padrino, which means the Godfather.
Oh, that's right.
Not king?
Yeah. King, not for once.
It's like a king.
Yeah. That's never good. Why don't you name them something much less threatening?
Yeah.
Have you seen The Godfather? The lead investigator said, quote, Mr. Trump's son should be concerned.
The lead investigator.
Yeah. The
For
lead
the-
investigator in Spain.
Oh, snap.
The Spaniard.
I'm supposed to give you my word as a Spaniard.
No good. I've known too many Spaniards.
Is there any way you'll trust me? Nothing comes to mind.
All right, you guys, that's the week's news. That's the wrap up. So we'll be right back. Hello. Thanks for listening to Mueller, She Wrote. I'm talking to you because we could really use your help. There's a lot of costs associated with creating a podcast. There's editing and sound equipment, writing and research, hosting and shipping costs, merch, branding and web design, consulting, IT, and I am not too proud to ask you for your support. Our patrons are the single source of revenue to cover these costs, and to be totally transparent, we're still in the red. That's where you come in. By becoming a patron, you not only support our efforts, but you support women in podcasting and women in media. And the best part is that it's not a one-way street. In return for your pledge, you get access to our bonus content and ad-free episodes. You'll receive our weekly newsletter and access to our MSW book club. You get all sorts of great rewards like t-shirts, stickers, reusable tote bags made from 100% recycled materials, and even our limited edition polonium tea from Russia with Love created just for us by our friends at joysteaspoon.com. So please help us out and head over to MuellerSheWrote.com and subscribe today. You'll be glad you did. Hot notes. Okay, you guys, another insane week. I hope we can pull it all together for you. That's what we do. Jordan is going to talk about Roger Stone, but first, let's have Jaleesa give us an update on her special, special man, Elliot Broidy.
He is a special man to all of us. So this article is called AP Investigation, a Trump fundraiser secret lobbying effort to win $1 billion in business deals.
Billion.
Yes, $1 billion. This is crazy. So it's a Broidy Bunch update. And as we've covered before, Broidy was working with 2 Arabian princes for over a year. And he thought he was finally about to seal that $1 billion deal. Now, the 2 crown princes Broidy became business affiliates with were from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. And
Imbissa and Imbiza.
Exactly. They wanted to pretty much change U.S. foreign policy in order to punish Qatar. So Broidy was hired to help spearhead a secret campaign to influence the White House and Congress. So together, they flooded Washington with political donations. And Brody and his business partner, George Nader, told the Crown Princes that he and Brody could work as a back channel to the White House for them. And he said they had access directly to the president.
Yep.
So in December 2017, Brody was preparing to be rewarded for all his hard work. So basically, in return for pushing an anti-Qatar policy at the highest level of U.S. government, the Associated Press reported that Brody and Nader were expecting a huge consulting contract from Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Yes. So all of this information has been corroborated through a series of leaked emails between Brody, Nader, and the Crown Princes, not to mention that more than 24 witnesses have come forward. So we already know that Brody and Nader were pushing the anti-Qatar bill through Congress while hiding the source of the money behind their campaign, draining the swamp. And a new report, however...
I'm filling the swamp.
It's so ironic.
It's so full.
Yeah, it's crazy. So a new report reveals that they were also working on a secret lobbying effort to isolate Qatar. Basically, they wanted to undermine the Pentagon's long-standing relationship with them. That was the whole plan behind the deal. And Brody's lawyer said that the AP's reporting is, quote, based on fraudulent and fabricated documents obtained from entities with a known agenda to harm Mr. Brody.
So emails from yourself.
Yes, essentially. Yeah. My own words are from my haters. Don't listen to them.
This evidence came from my mouth.
Totally.
It's everyone.
It's like, who are they trying to fool? Probably Trump's base.
Yeah.
But
easily foolable.
You're
Those
right.
who fall for Spygate.
Yes, because they just want to believe it. They don't even care if it's true.
I hate
Confirmation bias.
They can just put anything in front of the word gate and have it
it's a
be
thing. Yeah.
sufficient.
That comes from Watergate.
Yep.
And now everyone's like, this gate, that gate, this
You're
gate.
right.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
All these
come on, dude.
hacks.
Why is it a gate? Can
Yeah.
you come up with your own term for once?
So weird. So Brody's lawyer also said that Mr. Nader is a U.S. citizen and there is no evidence suggesting that he directed Mr. Brody's actions, let alone that he did so on behalf of a foreign entity. So
There's also no evidence that he messed with small children.
Oh,
in
yeah.
a perverted way. None at all.
Exactly. So after reviewing hundreds of emails and checking with dozens of sources, the AP discovered a previously unreported meeting with the president, and it provides the most detailed accounts so far. So on February 2017, Brody wrote to a staffer for the chairman of the House of Foreign Affairs Committee about a bill aimed at sanctioning Qatar for alleged support of terrorist groups. Yeah. And the leaked emails, this was
our number one, one of our number one allies in the region, where we
Seriously.
are headquartered, and where there's a giant military base.
Yeah, we have such a good relationship that none of this makes sense.
I don't even think probably Trump knows that.
I didn't know it before all this, but he's the president. Like, even he doesn't know it, and he should know it.
Yeah, you ought to.
Yeah. It's just
Matt has
great.
probably told him, like, hey, bro, you might want to chill.
Yeah.
On Qatar. I got like 8,000 guys over there.
Seriously.
That's where my intel is headquartered. Thank you.
It's ridiculous. So, in the leaked emails, this is the part that Nader called hammering Qatar. So the next day, Brody forwarded Nader questions about a potential contract with Saudi Arabia to train Arab troops to fight in the escalating war in Yemen. So,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
it's getting really crazy. And in a note to Brody, Nader said the princes were very happy with the proposed contracts, particularly the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi.
Yep.
Interesting.
Ibiza.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't get that song out of my head now.
I know, you think Wu-Tang, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like scat a little bit, yeah.
1, 2. Okay.
That's great.
Stop.
So
maybe we'll put a clip in here somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we'll fit it in.
Yeah, because you know what? Just really to put it in your head and annoy the shit out of you.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Mission accomplished.
I like
Enjoy
that
your
song.
day.
The song's almost as annoying as
I am sitting in the cafe. It is very, very early.
Oh my God, I love that.
Good old Suzanne Vega.
That's good. You guys actually had that pretty good.
Well, we've been working on our singing.
Okay. I gotta admit, I haven't been practicing, guys. I'm so sorry.
Jaleesa.
I know.
We've been meeting separately.
Dang it. Yeah, you gotta put me in the memo.
Is Brody fucked?
Oh, he is fucked.
You guys all changed.
Yeah,
That's weird.
yeah.
That was weird.
Practice. I need to
It's okay.
practice.
We'll get there. We'll get there later in the show.
Definitely.
We'll have another chance.
That's a special shout out to the people that think that bit is annoying.
Oh yes, just
Are there
for you.
people who hate that?
I'm
I don't
sure.
know. Twitter has everything.
There's haters for everything.
That's true.
Yeah.
But then someone said that he says it, or he lets his daughters listen to it.
Yeah.
that's
3-year-olds like, fucked.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
So cute. It's like that Meet the Parents. Asshole.
Yeah. I would have a similar parenting technique for sure. Yeah.
Oh, I would be a totally neglectful person. It would be bad. You're welcome for not breeding, America.
Oh, yes.
That's for you. I did that for
Thank
you.
you, AG.
I did that for the world. And you're welcome.
So, just getting back to Brody, I know he's less fun.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize to me. I love
Womp womp.
it. So basically, their focus was on the lobbying campaign. According to a March 2017 document, they proposed a budget upward to $12 million to expose and penalize Qatar and get the U.S. to pressure it to aid in coercive action against Iran. The gist of their plan.
It's Iran.
I'm so sorry. Iran.
No,
Oh, it's.
I don't know.
I've heard so many different. Yeah, I'll go
It's
with
nuclear.
So the gist of their plan was to show evidence that Qatar was too close to Iran and supported Islamist groups, including the Muslim Brotherhood. Ideally, Brody and Nader would work to
It
persuade.
sounds so friendly.
The Brotherhood, Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like a friendly,
That's the good one, right?
like a PTA. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
We have bake sales.
Yeah, I like that.
Not so friendly.
Yeah, they have kind of, well,
Some of them, right? I don't know. The Muslim Brotherhood sounds like an umbrella term for Muslims in general.
There's good people on both sides.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. In this case, yeah, definitely.
or as Trump says, I think everyone is to blame.
There you go. There's enough blame to go around.
Everyone except me. I'm fantastic.
So ideally, Brody and Nader would work to persuade the U.S. government to sanction Qatar and move a key military base from Qatar to another location in the Gulf. And get this.
Saudi Arabia, maybe?
Exactly, yes. The emails show that Brody reported he was making progress and that Nader kept the principals briefed on their adventures.
It's probably one of the bases they're going to use to guard the nuclear reactors.
Oh, totally. You know it. Because they're so invested in
the Marshall Plan freaks me the fuck out.
It's pretty crazy because that's where they actually get the leverage they need to do. If they wanted to do like a world war, like they would have the upper hand in that. So, yeah, on that note, Brody boasted that he'd gotten the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Ed Royce, to back an anti-Qatar bill. And at the end of March, Nader wrote that he'd had a terrific meeting with a Saudi crown prince.
It's terrific.
Yes, Mohammed bin Salman.
Mbissa.
Yes, and that the prospects for the billion-dollar contracts were good. So this was around the same time that Flynn was all over the news for lying to the FBI, but Brody was undeterred. So Nader actually cheered him on and pretty much told
Brody
him...
didn't know at the time he would have to take the $1.6 million abortion payout fall.
Right, this was all before that. Yeah. So, yeah, but Nader kept cheering him on, telling him to,
That's
quote,
conjecture.
keep hammering those bastards, is what he was telling him.
Keep hammering those bastards.
Such strong language.
Those cuttery bastards.
Yeah, he really likes hammers.
Yeah, you're right. It's the second time he's used that.
I'd rather be a hammer than a nail.
Oh, yeah, good point. So Brody then persuaded an American think tank, the Foundation of Defense of Democracies, to stage an anti-Qatar conference. It was
How much thinking really goes on?
That's funny. Yeah, the no think tank.
That's the same person who named VesselNet Skaya's group on like fucking what is it? I don't know. It's
Or
like-
essential consultants, just like generic. It's
fucking
fun.
essential. Yeah, the American
for like
group to combat.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, some bullshit that sounds amazing.
The Freedom Fest.
The Pew Pew Conference.
The Pew Pew Conference. Exactly. Pew Pew.
So this was set for May 23rd at the Fairmont Hotel in Washington. But soon after, on April 21st, 2017, Brody sent Nader the draft of an op-ed to show the impact on his campaign, and it was marked confidential. And coincidentally, 3 days later, this article...
So Kushner can look at it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the article was called The Two Faces of Qatar, a dubious Mideast ally.
Oh, they're ally. Yeah, they're
ally. Yeah. Sorry,
they're clearly Geminis.
Basically, they were publishing this through the Wall Street Journal to have their whole opinion about Qatar validated. And the opinion piece, co-written by retired Air Force General Charles Wald, who had been the deputy head of the U.S. European Command, called for moving U.S. military assets from the Air Force base in Qatar and bringing it to the United Arab Emirates. He said it would be a logical destination.
You fucking traitor.
I know. It's so
fucking
tricky.
traitor. Not all veterans are awesome. Just point of note.
Yeah, he's an example of that.
You fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, what the readers didn't know at the time was that Wald was listed in company documents as a member of Broidy's team that was pitching contracts in Saudi Arabia. So
I wonder if he got any kickbacks from that shit.
Exactly. Of course, he denied it, but whatever. And one day,
Cohen was probably involved. Cohen probably got a cut somehow.
He was the guy. Yeah, he was their connection. So one day after the UAE and Saudi Arabia began their blockade, Trump sent a series of tweets signaling support for the two countries' actions and embracing an anti-Qatar stance. He said his recent visit to Saudi Arabia was already paying off. They said they would take, they said
Literally
they would take a hard line.
Paying off.
I mean, like, he's just being so blunt. He says they would take a hard line of funding extremism, and all referencing was pointing to Qatar. Perhaps this will be the beginning of the end to horror of terrorism, end quote.
God.
I know.
The horror.
He doesn't make any sense when he tweets either. I'm like reading it, and I'm like, he's trying to use big words.
He's leaving out
I like how
small words that are important.
Yeah, neglecting the basics.
I like how you terrorism itself, but you have to add horror to terror.
As if it's not already. He's like, the worst kind of terrorism, guys.
It's built in.
It's the brown terrorism. You gotta.
It's built into, it's brown people terrorism.
There you go.
Very bad. Very
the
bad.
worst words have 2 R's, it seems.
Exactly. Tomorrow. I am a negative thinker.
TEERRIIFFFCCC.
Oh man,
that is you don't know that?
No,
Charlotte's Web.
Oh, Charlotte's Web.
What did that spell?
Terrific.
Oh, terrific. Oh, I missed the
it's
first
always
2
an
letters.
exception.
Because she put it in her web, and they asked the goose how to spell it.
Oh, I love that movie. It's been so long. You kind of remind me of a geese too, AG. Like now that you do the thing. Yeah, very mother-like. No, they're nurturing.
Like Mother Goose.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah.
A dick, but mothering.
Yeah. Oh my, like my mom.
Although I have no children. I have podcats though.
Oh, that's true. Yes. So a week later, transition real smooth.
True, nice segue.
Thank you. A week later, on June 16th, the Trump administration completed a $12 billion sale of F-15 fighter jets to Qatar that had been approved earlier by Congress. The move was at odds with the president's rhetoric on Qatar, but it paled in comparison with the $110 billion in arms deal with Saudi Arabia, with Saudi Arabia that Trump had previously announced. So he gave Qatar,
$110 billion in arms sales to Saudi Arabia.
And he gave
You're
it
welcome,
to Qatar too.
So
it's
that
like,
if they want to do another 9/11, they now have arms.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like he doesn't even care. So now we've learned that in late September, Brody arranged for a meeting with the president himself. And prior to the meeting, the emails show that Nader wrote Brody a script. And in it, there were several objectives to sell the idea for a Muslim fighting force.
Script.
Like, a pitch, essentially.
Opening scene. Evening. Outdoors.
Right? The
exterior. Did he use the script format?
Yeah, like setting the tone. So basically they were...
Two old assholes are talking.
They were trying to sell the idea for a Muslim fighting force to keep the president from intervening on Qatar and to arrange a discreet meeting between Trump and the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. So Nader wrote, "The princes are counting on you to relate it blunt and straight." He also told Brody that the meeting was potentially historic and to, quote, "take advantage of this priceless asset." And one last thing Nader asked Brody to tell the president was that his connections with the Crown Princes were to all be used through code names. So he wasn't even to use Nader's real name or the Crown Princess. So
what do they call Nader?
I think it was
Kid fucker?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because the princes were like the two big friends. Those were their code names. Like,
yeah. Well, I call them Mbissa and Mbiza.
Yeah, those are better ones.
That would be my code name.
They should ask us. Yeah.
Them. And then Kid fucker. And then we have, who would be Brody? Brady Bunch.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. They should hire us for that.
That's too close. I feel like he would need to hide it a little, like maybe.
Oh, yeah, it'd be easy to trace.
Maybe Greg loves Marshall.
Yeah, but the base wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So after the October 6th meeting, Brody reported back to Nader that he passed along the messages and urged the president to stay out of the dispute with Qatar. He also said he explained the plan to build a Muslim fighting force. And Brody wrote, "President Trump was extremely enthusiastic." Mm-hmm.
Those two sentences together is amazing, considering what a fucking Islamophobic
totally,
person is.
Dude.
Mm-hmm.
He also said Trump asked what the next step would
if
be.
you're Islam, he hates you unless you have a shitload of money.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude,
that moral subjectivity.
Totally.
Heyo, truth is relative.
Mm-hmm. So Trump asked what the next step would be, and that he was told or he told the president he should meet with the crown prince. So the next step was to meet with him from the UAE. And he added, President Trump agreed that a meeting with Mbiza was a good idea. That's crazy.
He did. He came to the White House.
Yeah. So lastly, Nader
Which isn't abnormal. I mean, I think Obama had the crown prince of Saudi Arabia.
But now that we know what they were planning.
I'm so sorry. I just had an epiphany, kind of.
Get it.
And maybe this is...
Are you guys ready?
Hell yeah.
It's Jordan's epiphany time.
Do you think that part of Trump being so Islamophobic is to try to divert from his dealings with super Islam forward countries?
No, I think he's just Islamophobic.
For fascist purposes.
Not only, but like, do you think he really plays it up as like a distraction, sort of?
It definitely can't hurt, but I think...
And he also benefits from those policies in other ways.
I feel like Bush did that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you remember right after 9/11 happened, Bush and the White House called all of their Saudi Arabian friends and said, get out before we announce.
Right. Yeah. And that in that case, it seems more deliberate. In this one, it seems like while that could be helpful to him, his main goal, it seems to be like to divide people based on race, because that's just helpful for a dictator.
It seems too smart for Trump.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
I definitely agree with you that it's generally to enact his dictator plan, but I guess it's just an added
win-win.
benefit.
Exactly.
The dictator plan.
Totally. An afterthought, but totally helpful. So Nader had a personal request to get a picture of himself with
7
the president.
children?
Yes.
Under the age of 16?
Definitely.
Delivered to his front door?
He is a creep. So he wanted a picture of himself with Trump, another creep.
And he got it, too.
He got it because, so he was denied one before, probably because he's a convicted, or he's not convicted child predator, right? He is convicted?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. This is insane.
Yes.
So on November 30th, Brody gave $189,000 to the RNC, more than he had ever given to the RNC.
That's a weird
in
number.
Over 2 decades.
189,000.
Yeah,
that's a weird.
Pretty weird. And soon
keeping
after,
it under 200,000, but not 199.99.
Right.
They
always do these like really interesting numbers.
Yeah.
So as a little bit, or soon after the money was sent, a picture with Trump and Nader come out, and it's one of them grinning in front of the American flag.
And here's my question: how all these donations from foreign entities like Mbiza, Russia, Vexelberg, and everything, all these donations to campaigns, are they made through PACs? Because we know that the maximum you can donate as an individual
$5,400, right?
$5,400 is a couple, $2,600 is a something. It's 26 and 54.
Got it.
Or 52. I don't know. It's
something like that.
It's not $100,000.
Exactly.
I guess they're making those donations through PACs.
Yeah. Or they're like, if I'm 100 times the person you are,
oh my goodness,
am I allowed?
That's funny.
Every inch I am over 5'5", I get an extra $10,000.
Nice.
Thank you for being tall.
So Brody actually met Trump again on December 2nd, and he reported back to Nader, that he told Trump the crown princes were most favorably impressed by his leadership. He also offered the crown princes help in the Middle East peace plan being developed by Jared Kushner, but he did not tell Trump that his partner, Nader, had complete contempt for the plan. So he didn't like...
Nader had contempt for what plan?
For the plan to have, basically, Kushner involved. So he didn't want... He doesn't like
Okay,
Jared.
so he's pro Mbiza and
right.
anti-Qatar, but also anti-Kushner.
Exactly, yeah. So he just has contempt mainly for the president's son-in-law.
If you're too shady for Nader...
You're pretty shady then. So get this. Nader called Kushner.
I'm not gonna deal with that guy. That guy's messed up, man. That guy's a wrongdoing guy.
Seriously, it's not a good look. Nader called Kushner a clown prince and said nobody would even waste a cup of coffee on him if it wasn't for who he's married to.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wait, that's fucked up on many levels.
Oh, definitely.
There's like 17 levels at work there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah. The fact that if Nader doesn't like you, you got issues.
Like, what's going on? Is it because he's just not intelligent or something? Like, why?
He's the clown prince, and he wouldn't be who he was if he didn't marry who he married. That's pretty much what it boils down to.
Yeah, it sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wow. And he's also Jewish. And Nader is backing Saudi Arabia and UAE.
You're right.
And so there's probably a little anti-Semitism there.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Totally.
That is conjecture.
Hey.
But I'm right.
Yeah, totally. So just wrapping it up, according to a leaked email, Days after Broidy's meeting with Trump, the UAE awarded Broidy the intelligence contract the partners had been seeking for up to $600 million over 5 years. And in January, Broidy was preparing for a third meeting with Trump at Mar-a-Lago during celebrations of the president's first year in office.
But then a sinkhole opened up.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Very nicely timed. Nader was supposed to join them, actually, but the initial payment for the intelligence contract was late. And so he delayed his trip to the U.S. for a day just to make sure it was wired.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and on January 17th, Broidy reported that the first money or the first installment was received, $36 million. And just hours after the money was transferred, Nader was stopped at Dulles Airport, and a team of FBI agents working for Mueller was there to meet him.
Yeah, I put that in a great movie scene. What episode was that, I wonder?
I forget, but I remember we talked about this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did it. And you did like the impressions of Nader and everything, right?
I did a script.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I remember.
Interior airport.
Episode 21 is what I want to say.
Well, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
But you know what? Just go back and listen to all the episodes.
Absolutely. So basically.
Particularly 6 and 12.
Because the Marshall Plan.
Action-packed episodes.
Oh, definitely.
We didn't know that until later, but and then just keep listening after 12 for all of them so that you can hear.
Yeah, just
my
binge it.
scene.
Just binge listen. So basically, Nader was relieved of all his electronic devices, and he later agreed.
Relieved.
Yeah, like here, I don't want these
Relieved of
things
all
anyways.
this.
Yeah, thank you, Mueller. And later he agreed to cooperate. So Broidy denies reports from Nader, or denies anything that Nader's saying now, or the leaked emails, basically stating that he said, "I believe the evidence is clear that a nation state is waging a sophisticated disinformation campaign against me in order to silence me, including hacking emails, forging documents, and engaging in espionage and numerous other illegal activities." Qatar responded that it was Broidy who actually engaged in a propaganda campaign. So they're just going this, he said, she said, back and forth. But just a reminder, neither Broidy nor Nader registered with the U.S. under the FARA Act, the law that requires people to register even if they're not getting paid, let alone $600 million, but merely directed by foreign interests with political campaigns. So violating that law carries a maximum of $10,000 in a fine or up to 5 years in prison, which is probably what they're looking at. But at least Nader, if he's cooperating, I wonder.
Well, Nader has been given partial immunity.
Oh, that's right.
And I don't know if it's on the kid fucking or if it's on that.
Exactly.
But he's been given partial immunity. And no one else in this entire investigation has been given any immunity whatsoever. They've all pleaded down pleaded down to lesser charges. So the fact that he has been given partial immunity is huge.
Right. And this is just what we know. Mueller obviously knows more. But yeah, this is the latest update. We know that Trump met with Broidy, and Trump was very enthusiastic about the plan. There's evidence, and Nader's cooperating.
No, he gets easily enthusiastic about things.
Oh, totally.
All right, thank you, Julissa, so much. That's great reporting.
It's been so satisfying to hear you covering him from just the infancy of corruption.
Yeah, every week there's something new. Yeah.
In fact, we should put together a mini-sode of your cover of your hot notes and your hot notes.
That would be cool.
All back to back.
I'm gonna
just
write
our
that down.
boyfriends.
Yeah. We can cut. Well, we actually have to name it for
but the real fans will know.
Engine optimization. But
the sentiment is there.
The parentheses. Jaleesa's boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah,
that would be fun. Because he's obviously a really big player. So.
Yeah,
and we should do T-shirts too.
And we can do a. Oh God, please stop with the T-shirts. I have
Jalisa and Jordan's boyfriend
logos.
I think that'd be great.
I'm Jaleesa's boyfriend.
Yeah,
I'm
anyone
Jordan's
can wear it.
boyfriend.
Yeah, even a chick. I'm cool with that.
Like Disneyland T-shirts.
I'm on Mueller She Wrote's team. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
I was stupid. That would be fantastic.
Yes, hot note minisodes.
Yes, hot for you guys, and then maybe you could do where you find topics that we cover from episode to episode, like the NRA.
Mm-hmm.
We can put together an NRA
absolutely
thing. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah, that could be great.
Fun is a weird word for that.
Yeah,
it's our kind of fun.
Democracy is under attack.
Exactly.
I don't mean to say that any of this is actually fun.
No, but even when Watergate was happening, like Slow Burn said, people were energized by it. They were moved for patriotic purposes. So it's fun because it's like bringing the country together, but under the worst circumstances.
It's fun in that way, and it's also fun in that I'm nerding out on it. But,
exactly. But it is sad.
But I'm sitting here waiting for our Justice Department and the rule of law to win the day.
Yes.
And that's kind of what, that's my Pornhub.
Oh, yeah. So, I feel you.
Jordan.
Yes.
Tell us about your boyfriend.
Yes. So Roger Stone. Some news came out this week. The Wall Street Journal broke on Thursday that former Trump campaign advisor Roger Stone privately sought damaging information on Hillary Clinton from WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange during the 2016 presidential campaign.
Oh, Assange.
This was according to emails that were examined by the Wall Street Journal. And this is significant for a few reasons. This contradicts testimony from Roger Stone to the House Intelligence Committee in September. In September, he had said...
And they've shut down their investigation,
Right.
by the way, because they think it's over.
Right.
Nunez was like, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
Yeah. To which Schiff replied,
Yeah.
"You'll rue the day."
You'll rule the day. And not to mention, since then, all this Cambridge Analytica shit has come out, and all the Roger Stone shit has come out, and meanwhile, the GOP House is like, no, we rightfully shut that down. We just we don't care about the phone call 11 minutes to a block number that happened with Donald Trump Jr. It's not important.
Yeah. God, I have no patience for idiots ruling my fucking life anymore.
By the way, I have to tell you, right now, Jordan is reading from a notepad where she wrote with her hand.
Yes.
These
I love
notes.
it.
Because we're all laptopped up, right?
Digital.
And she's like, I'm old school,
I'm a
motherfucker.
Obama's analog too. He likes to write his things out.
She's wearing a Cure shirt.
Oh.
So everything she's doing right now is very 1986.
I dig it.
She has Doc Martens on. She's wearing my high school uniform.
No way.
Basically.
With the notepad and all.
Yeah, and reading from handwritten.
Is it like looking in the like a time machine? Like
she's got a man bun, though she's a woman.
Though she's a woman.
It's absolutely fantastic.
That's great. Thank you.
I love this whole
Thank
look.
you.
Please continue.
Thank you for the imagery. I appreciate that.
We have to describe ourselves.
Yeah, set the scene
to our listeners. Yes, we have to set the scene. Exactly.
I love it. So back in
Segue.
Yeah. So the reason why this is such big news basically is because it's contradicting testimony that he previously gave. In September, Stone had said that he was merely requesting confirmation from an acquaintance that Assange had information about Clinton, period. And he was not looking for anything to be dug up specifically at his request, essentially. It has now come out that in an email sent on September 18th, 2016, Stone urged said acquaintance who knew Assange for emails that related specifically to Clinton's role in allegedly disrupting a Libyan peace deal in 2011 while she was Secretary of State. It's important to note that Stone had no formal role in Trump's campaign at this time. The email that's referenced here, it gets super specific. He asks Assange for any state or Hillary emails from August 10th to August 30th, particularly August 20th, 2011. So
what's that guy's name again? The middleman?
Yeah, his name's Credico.
Yeah, Credico.
So, yeah. So, thank you. That sounds better than Credico.
I don't know. I like the emphasis on the dick. Yeah, I do.
That's how I would have pronounced it.
I'm just drawn to it. So
that's how he probably wants it.
Yeah, seriously. But yes, perfect. You asked
you
that.
You can't buy a big truck. You name yourself Credico.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And hang some metal balls on the back of it.
Yeah.
So
you have truck nuts, Credico. Just own up.
So who's this acquaintance, you ask? His name is Randy Credico, and he's a New York radio personality who'd interviewed Assange a few weeks prior. Credico is known to support Assange's whistleblowing efforts. That's just kind of well known. Credico's response to Stone's initial request was that if those emails existed, they would have been published on WikiLeaks' website already. But Stone keeps pushing, and he says, how do you know that they don't have more than what they've already released? Credico begins to grow frustrated with Stone's incessant requests.
I like Credico now. Can we just call him Credico?
Oh, sure.
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
Go forth.
Credico sounds like a new credit checking startup or something.
It sounds like never leave home without it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Credico.
That's it.
This traffic update is brought to you by Credico.
We'll help you keep your information off the dark web.
Yeah.
Contact Credico today.
I like that.
I will definitely.
And you can pay us to do what we already should be doing. Thank you.
Credico. So Credico is growing frustrated with Stone's incessant requests, right? And in an email, it's like really annoying. He's like, dude, it's like that guy that always asks for favors, and it's like, come on, man, I can't keep asking this guy for international secrets. That's a one-time thing, okay?
Like, Here's how it works, at least in the comedy world. You build favors, right? You do a solid for somebody, you do a solid for somebody, and then they owe you something. And then you ask for that one thing, like, hey, maybe could you do this, or could you vote for me on this, or tweet me here, or put me on a show here. And that's the end. Like, it's squid pro quo, right? Like, you do this one thing, and I'll do this one thing. I saw a bumper sticker one time that said, I love tit for tat. I've got some tat.
That's hilarious.
That's
so funny.
And that guy had a gun rack in the back of his truck too.
That's funny.
That's the earlier version of truck nuts.
Yeah. That's how they start. Yeah.
And you know what happened? I bought that truck. It was for sale.
Really?
I bought it. It was 1983
He
Ford
sold you.
F-250. Yeah, it was $800.
How'd you get the bumper sticker off?
I didn't. I believe
funny.
in tit for tat. Want some tat? That was it. I believe in tit for tat. Want some tat? I left it.
Great.
And I left the gun rack.
You're a comedian.
I just put hats on it.
That's really funny.
I love it.
Anyway, sorry
Flower
for interrupting.
pots.
Please,
oh no,
please
no, it's
continue.
okay. So yeah, Stone basically keeps pushing Critico, and Stone said, or Critico finally says to Stone, he's like, I can't ask them favors every other day. I can't keep doing this, and so then I'm like wondering, well, why did Critico feel like he owed Stone any favors at all? And it was because Stone had helped get Libertarian presidential candidate Gary Johnson on his show, and Critico felt that he owed Stone. Only a delusional disciple of Trump would think that that was a fair trade.
Well, that's quid pro quo, right?
Yeah.
Like I got you Gary Johnson. By the way, that's not a big get. I got you, Gary Johnson. In return, I need international secrets.
Yes,
every day,
exactly.
all the time.
Exactly. It's a radio show appearance for an international dirt-seeking campaign.
Super even,
It's
Steven.
Fucking ridiculous. So Critico, getting sick of this whole dance, then lies to Stone and says that he had passed along the message to Assange requesting those documents or emails if they existed, even though he didn't. He did it just to get Stone off his back, which I think is hilarious. Stone can't relate, of course, to getting things off his back because he likes things on his back.
Oh,
Hashtag Nixon.
well done,
All right,
Jordan.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank
segue
you.
right there. That's
Thank
good.
you.
That's
Yes.
good shit.
Yes. Stone confirms that he never had access to Clinton emails or records, but we know that this was only because he failed at his attempts in doing so.
That's amazing. Stop giggling. Sorry.
Grant Smith, one of Stone's lawyers, confirmed that these emails have not been turned over to investigators yet because they were, quote unquote, not encompassed within the scope of the committee's request, which you know is the most passive-aggressively incriminating reason for not turning
Right?
over documents to federal investigators.
Definitely.
That or you can't expect me to turn over all my communications with anyone who might be Russian.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Don't
Jill Stein.
investigate anything
Shout
I
out.
did after I got into office. That's so ridiculous.
Yeah, don't look into the
No
of
questions.
instructions.
No questions about my presidency.
Yeah.
Oh, great. That's a great deal.
Yeah. That's off the table.
Well, they actually said, and I have to say this because I didn't say it earlier, the whole reason that Mueller floated the subpoena is that you can only do this, and it only works if their testimony has to be gotten. And Mueller said, we can't get to Trump's state of mind without interviewing him about that. And Trump's state of mind is the focal point for obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what he was like, we can only get that from him.
Yeah, for sure.
Or his lies. So,
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's why. Anyway, sorry.
I can't wait until technology advances and we can actually deduce people's motivations and
I'm
their
scared of that,
brains.
though. Have you
That
seen
is
Black Mirror?
terrifying.
Have you seen Black Mirror?
Yes, yes.
That
Yeah.
whole thing with
Memories?
the
Oh, yeah,
That's
that
insane.
one's
where you
fucked
can
up.
rewind and watch
Yeah.
people do stuff.
But then it's like, don't murder people.
Well, I've
Stop breaking the law, asshole.
I've actually lived a pretty good life, and I'm cool with it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like I've actually told people that when I die, you need to go into my internet browser history and make stuff up
You
so
know
that
what?
I'm more interesting.
Yeah, I would want my loved ones to be able to see my memories, like even the weird stuff. If I had to, I'd be like, yeah, just fast forward through some weird stuff, and you know, I'll be.
But like,
with
I'm
you.
a
skip
freak.
through the
I
highlights.
don't smoke weed because military
You're
forever.
missing out, man.
That's cool, dude. I drink a lot of wine, but
Choo-choo, yeah.
I don't smoke weed. I don't watch porn.
What?
Never have.
Oh, you don't need to then. That's a
Never
good thing,
have.
right?
Right, because I'm
You're good.
I'm an animal, and then I create my own. But like like my browser internet history is so boring.
Yeah.
I need people to spice it up.
Yeah, mine is
so,
cray-cray right
so
now.
tweet at us at Mueller She Wrote. Let me know that I'll give you all the a sealed indictment of all my passwords so that you can go in
and just make. I love this plan. It's very practical.
pump up my search history.
There we go.
To be a little cooler.
Yes.
Yeah, and then if you ever run for office, that'll be really fun to explain.
Oh my God! Well, we have evidence right now. Hey,
I'm thinking of running for Congress in 2020.
What?
If I get fired, if Trump finds out who I am, are you listening? If there's people in Russia listening.
9 people in Russia. And Moscow City, 3 of them.
Shit, I didn't know that.
There's a place called Moscow City.
Moscow City,
Take me down to Moscow City where
Really?
the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are still plenty of like regular, just decent people in Russia.
Yeah. I
have a friend that lives in Russia right now. She's actually going through cancer and chemo, and she's fucking amazing.
Oh, she's probably
And if everybody could send good vibes to her, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
But we called her Mother Russia on tour, and
hilarious.
yeah, but she's amazing, and she's in Moscow right now because that's where she can get the best healthcare.
I'm curious. If you're out there in Russia listening, like if you're one of the 9 people, like let us know because that is trippy. I was like thinking it's the whole Kremlin. Like that's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh no, it's all.
I might be giving ourselves too much credit.
Yeah, that definitely. Hopefully, it'd be too much credit. I don't want that attention.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine.
Back to the action.
Yeah. So, just to wrap this all up, to put it in context, this all comes amidst a heightened likelihood that Mueller's team is looking closely at Stone's role in the 2016 campaign, and especially looking at his open admittal of meeting with Assange during the campaign. Just to put a nice Russian bow on all of this, a reminder that U.S. officials have said WikiLeaks received material from operatives working on behalf of Russia's military intelligence group. So there's the connection. Credico is now willing to talk to investigators. He had pled the fifth previously in the House probe, but just this Wednesday he met with the House committee's Democratic.
Only criminals plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Only criminals. Why would you plead the fifth?
Exactly.
Only criminals.
How quickly they all forget. But so he met with the House committee's Democratic staff members to discuss likely what is the discrepancies in Stone's testimony, because he's come out saying that there are definitely some discrepancies in that. Namely, I imagine him saying, "No, I was just asking for confirmation that there existed some dirt on Hillary.
Exactly.
I wasn't trying to solicit exact things by the fucking day."
No one was. Not even that guy, Peter Smith, who killed himself. No one wanted any of that information.
Right.
It was just I'm just checking.
Exactly.
That's very nice of you. Thank you for supporting our democracy.
Yeah. And so, last thing, in early April, Stone accused Credico as of an informant, and in an email or a text to him, I forget which one it was, he says, "Everyone says you are wearing a wire for Mueller." And my favorite part about this is he spelled you, the letter U, and spelled out R. A-R-E.
So
he opted for the full spelling. Yeah, you are. Yeah, and then for Mueller, he opted out of using the number, which was very available and spelled out for.
That's amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's a guy that just uses you exclusively.
He's trying to gleam the cube, right? He's like trying to be rad. To use my old expression.
You are.
He's like you, but I spell everything else out.
Yeah.
Like, when I text and when I tweet, I use full punctuation and everything. Like I don't,
Yeah, I'm like overly proper sometimes, just to be sure, I guess.
But I'm also old, so it's just how it goes. But
right.
The fact that he's an old motherfucker, by the way, and he's doing the you,
just to shoot,
and it wasn't like he was running out of Twitter letters.
No.
Characters.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
because that was a short tweet
for sure.
Right?
Yeah. Oh well, I think this was either a text or an email.
Oh
yeah, it was like
so he wasn't even limited.
No, exactly. He was not limited. He says that he fucking says you like a goddamn douchebag, and then ends it with cool beans.
That's
no, he didn't end it with cool beans. I'm just kidding.
Put some beans on it.
But and he also says he says something to the effect of, and it was in this format, like, open your mouth equals get sued.
Yeah,
that was what he says.
He threatened. Yeah, if you
he threatened
Credico. Yeah, open your mouth, get sued.
That's crazy. It's like talk shit, get hit.
Sounds like a Saul Goodman advertisement.
Yeah, except the white version.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much for your reporting.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yes, of course.
I've went ahead and just let this go on because I thought it was so good. So we're actually a lot into this. So I'm actually going to take a break here, and we're going to put a roll in here. Because I think we need to take a break and then come back. And when we come back, we are going to have our interviews with Chris Kluwe and Rabia Chaudry. So please stick with us.
Nice.
Greetings, Mueller junkies. This is AG from Mueller, She Wrote. I wanted to remind you guys to book your summer holiday in San Diego for the week of the 4th of July, because on July 3rd, we're hosting Mueller, She Wrote live at the Comedy Store in La Jolla. Patrons will get a discount code for both regular and VIP tickets, and the VIP tickets get you access to our exclusive post-show meet and greet cocktail mixer, where you can meet and hang out with Jordan, Jaleesa, our past guests and business partners, and of course, yours truly. Patrons not only get discounts to our live events, but you get membership in the MSW Book Club, access to our entire archive of bonus episodes, a weekly newsletter created by Jordan that includes all the week's articles and my personal research notes, and an array of great gifts, including free VIP tickets, t-shirts, laptop stickers, limited edition loose-leaf Earl Grey polonium tea from our friends at joysteaspoon.com, access to our closed Facebook group, and of course our Sexy Justice calendar, which is out this month. So head over to MuellerSheWrote.com today and click subscribe to become a patron. And then head over to thecomedystore.com/La Jolla. There's a hyphen between La and Hoya for your MSW Live Q&A panel meet and greet tickets. You'll be glad you did. All right, thank you guys so much. This is just, sorry, it's been a jam-packed episode, and I needed to take a break.
It's the premiere, yeah.
This is season 2. What? Season 2?
Yeah.
Weird. Everyone was worried when I put that out, like, are you taking a break? And I was like, no, I'm not John Oliver. As much as I love him.
He disappears on us.
He goes away.
It makes me sad. And Rachel gets like poison ivy. What's up with that?
Come
on.
And what's funny is when he comes back, we're like, oh, we missed you so hard.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go away for a minute. No, we're not going to go away.
I'll wait until people don't want to listen to us anymore, and then we'll take a break.
That's not going to happen. There's no rest for the wicked, by the way.
Nice.
And actually, I found out the wicked get a lot less sleep. There's an actual study.
Oh.
Anyway,
I would believe it. I would totally believe it.
Interesting. So first, I wanted to share with you all a phone call I had with Rabia Chaudry this week. Rabia is a Pakistani-American lawyer, a New York Times best-selling author, and the host of the 45th podcast. She wrote the book on Adnan Syed. I've read it, and if you liked the Serial podcast, you should really check this book out. She's the person who first reached out to Sarah Koenig at This American Life, and that kicked off the entire Serial podcast.
Amazing.
As we know, Serial podcast is the #1 podcast of all time.
Yeah, downloaded, most popular.
Absolutely, like head and shoulders above any other podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing podcast. I highly recommend it. Other pods I recommend, besides the 45th, are Slow Burn.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Incredible. And the parallels are creepy.
Yeah.
Are
we speaking generally? Because I would give a shout out to Rebel Girl. Another MSW.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are fantastic.
Oh, yeah. They have a lot of great, like, female-oriented, like, conversations, just a lot of feminist stuff. Yeah, I dig it.
A lot of lady stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lady stuff.
Cult podcasts, kind of similar vibe to Serial.
The Cult podcast is so good. We've had Paige Wesley on the show.
And Armando.
And what an incredible podcast that is. Science Faction is another great pod. The Mean Boys, is that what it's called?
Mean Boys.
Oh my God, Connor McSpadden is fucking hilarious.
Carey,
and Tom Carey.
Yeah.
Incredible podcast if you're looking for pods.
Yeah,
that's
they're
amazing.
Really straight up comedy. They're so funny.
Purely good.
Preet Bharara's podcast.
Stay tuned.
So good.
Yeah, he doesn't know us. We're not friends, but
I like Chris Hayes a lot, and he's got a new pod out. I haven't listened to it yet.
Oh, Russia, if you're listening. That's not his. His is it's a question.
Yeah, it's like, what's up or something. Yeah.
Why is this happening? I think.
Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's a Mueller related I think it's from like some people that are journalists. It's called Russia If You're Listening. It's the name of the podcast.
Well, that's cool, but we are the.
You're right. I thought it was because our intro has that quote, so I was like, oh, a podcast.
And we have our very fun and awesome competitors who run the
Mueller Time.
Mueller Time
Yeah,
yeah, the homies.
They're really cool. We're going to Politicon with them.
Yes, they're going to be there, and we are totally drinking. I don't know if you know this, but I think the entire Politicon convention is just set up so that we have an excuse to
Political
drink all
nerds
weekend.
can just get drunk together.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've got this amazing call with Rabia. She wrote the book, like I said, on Adnan Syed. I've read it, and like I said, if you like the Serial podcast, you should check it out. She's the person who first reached out to Sarah Koenig at This American Life, and she kicked off the Serial podcast. As a former immigration attorney, she had a lot to say about the new policy on asylum seekers and how children are now being separated from their parents and even lost. We've lost 1,500 children.
Right.
So here's an excerpt from our call. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I know we kind of touched on this earlier, but what are your thoughts on this new immigration policy about, with particularly asylum seekers and refugees being, children being separated from their parents?
I mean, there's a couple different things going on. You have people who are just arriving at the border, maybe with no plan necessarily. I don't know to what extent how many of them would qualify for asylum. Asylum is, I began my career in immigration working just on asylum, and there's, specific criteria you have to meet. But, from Honduras and other places, I think, some of them could make the argument. The fact that we as a nation would take people who are asylees, right? So fleeing persecution, and separate them from their children and then detain the children and detain the parents. I mean, I don't think anybody, I could have never envisioned America doing something like that.
And they're not
it's not that we've never had
parents where their children are going. I mean, I think I heard a story in one case that said your son is in Chicago. And what is Chicago to this woman? She has no idea. Is that a person? Is that a place?
Right.
Is that a prison? Is it an institution? What is Chicago? And it might as well be Timbuktu. For her.
They're not telling them, and they're also apparently not keeping track. I mean, the reports are, been coming out for the last couple of months that close to 1,500 children are missing, children who are detained by Homeland Security, and they literally don't have any idea where they are. They just don't know. They say some have been released to trafficker or something. Like when they've been calling to follow up to find out, okay, are they still with whatever the foster families, wherever they place them? They can't find them. And I don't even understand how that happens. Why aren't people going to prison for that?
How do you not keep track of human people?
I can't imagine. Imagine being a parent, your child's taken away, and now they say, we don't know where that child is.
That I can't even come close to imagining that. And it's terrifying. It plays out in my head like a scene in a movie.
A dystopian movie.
Yes.
I mean, this is like some
or
otherworldly
like List, where
exactly
they're loading, they're peeling the babies off of their mothers, and putting the fathers and sticking men in trains and sticking women and children in other. Like it plays in my head like a horror film.
Yeah, and not something. And it's the kind of thing where you would think, oh, you read about this happening in countries where we send NGOs and, we send in all kinds of people to help them foster democracy. I mean, that's what been America's business forever. But it's us now. Yeah, and I don't know who's going to save us.
We are now the shithole country.
Yeah. We need some NGOs to invade us and liberate us and all that stuff or something. We need some peacekeeping forces.
Spain come over. We need aid. We need international aid.
We actually do. I mean, we need health care. We need all kinds of things. Some rich Arab Gulf countries could do. I don't know. I wouldn't trust them either.
Yeah.
So who's left?
But now that we have these third world policies, it's insanity to me. So shifting a little bit, I'm interested in you're a lawyer. You do a lot of legal work, and this week I know that the Trump campaign and the House GOP members are trying to basically get a all access pass to FBI files and evidence in ongoing criminal investigations. But where do you think, where are you at with the entire Mueller investigation right now?
You know, I hate to say this, there is a level of fatigue that's setting in. It's like, just hurry up, please do this already. This episode of this meeting that just happened, I mean, it's egregious. It's egregious that they can demand it and that the Department of Justice is capitulating to it. Although, in last week's episode of
we won't be extorted, right?
Right. They're like, here we, but so Susan has a theory, and Susan Simpson is my co-host on the 45th, one of the podcasts we host together. And her theory that we discussed last week on the episode was that this could just be Rosenstein's way of just like buying more time. You know, it's not, we don't know what he's shown, what's been shared with a committee or with this administration or whoever it was that was in that room. But it may be, and I also saw a story, and to be honest, I haven't read closely up on it, but where after they were presented with whatever documents, was Mitch McConnell there, that Mitch McConnell said that he believes the investigation should continue. Yeah. So that is a positive sign, I guess. Maybe they either scared him straight. I don't know.
And Trey Gowdy
What's
as
that?
well. It's Trey Gowdy also. It's mainly
right.
It's Nunes. And that makes me wonder what they have on him, like what either Trump or the Russians have on Devin that is forcing him to play ball. I don't know for sure, but I also share that theory with Susan in that I think these are political ploys to buy more time for Mueller. I think he's getting close. I think he's about to drop a bunch of indictments, specifically superseding indictments on Manafort and then, of course, the whole Roger Stone DNC hack and Assange. But I do think I'm with her on that he's kind of throwing bones over to Trump and the GOP to be like, oh, and I honestly think that this guy, this informant who Trump calls a spy, I don't even think he's actually the real guy. I think he's probably a decoy.
Is that right?
That's what my thought is. Everybody knows who he is, right? And he's kind of he's kind of a shady guy. Like he spied on Carter for Reagan. He worked for Nixon. He's kind of a shady douchebag. And so I was thinking like, maybe this isn't even the real guy, and it's just somebody they're saying is, okay, here's the guy, so that they don't have to do like out a Valerie Plame kind of a person, like a legit informant. And then when this is all over, to save face and to continue to be able to use informants and spies, the FBI will be like, yeah, right. we gave him a fake. It's totally fake. Please come work with us. We covered
for him.
Yeah, we're not dicks.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a left field tinfoil hat theory, but that's kind of
no, it's possible, but I do wonder, like, how would we ever know if that's true? Or that's probably something that we'd never know. Basically, it'd just be buried forever. Yeah, I mean, but I will say this though, just reading like some of the testimony that's been released in the last few weeks. I mean, I don't feel so confident about collusion charges coming, to be honest.
Really?
What do you think?
I think they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it seems like they were all a bunch of like idiots who just really didn't know what was, even if they're if somebody was trying to set them up and actually try to collude with them. Don Jr. doesn't seem like he really knew what was going on. I don't know. They all kind of seem clueless to me.
Don Jr. would just say yes to anybody who might have dirt on Hillary. But I think that the Manafort case specifically, there was a court filing yesterday or the day before where the news, the press, the mainstream media was asking for a FOIA release, Freedom of Information Act release of all of their warrants on Manafort. Now that he's been indicted, you can just hand all that over, right? And Mueller said in this filing, just because we've indicted him doesn't mean there aren't more indictments coming, basically. We aren't done with this case, and et cetera. And there's several other things that lead me to believe that there will be conspiracy charges against Manafort, at least. Whether they extend to Donald Trump Jr. or Trump himself, I don't, who knows. But
yeah, That's the pain I want to see.
It's what we all want.
Those are the screws I want turned, and that's what I feel like. But I guess if not that, then maybe obstruction could apply. But I just
the obstruction charges are clear and obvious, and I think that he's also building a case on that. Whether or not he indicts Trump for that versus just writing up a report remains to be seen, because there is a Department of Justice policy written by Neil Katyal, who said you can't indict a sitting president. But even he came out on Twitter and said, no, you can. You just have to ask permission from the Attorney General, or in this case, the Deputy Attorney General. But if he refuses, that automatically triggers a report to Congress, the Gang of Eight, right? So it would become public either way. And so maybe Mueller is thinking, well, I'll ask for an indictment. I know I'm going to get turned down, but at least then I can write a full public report to Congress.
Right.
Because that's not required anymore since the Special Counsel Act expired. But, I mean, I feel like I trust Mueller, and I feel like he's set things up in such a way that we will find out.
We'll find out. Like dominoes when it happens, right?
It's going to be crazy.
I'm also hoping, fingers crossed, that, that the House flips and Senate flips in 2018 and in November this year, and we see some impeachment action.
Well, Rabia, thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it. And I love the 45th, by the way, the 45th podcast. It's one of my top. That and Slow Burn, I think, are my two tops.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. We love your podcast, and, keep up the good work. We're all part of the resistance. But this morning I was thinking, I cannot wait till this presidency is over, because I'm going to end that podcast.
I'll get a lot of free time back. That's
yeah, exactly.
That's for sure. It's a lot of work resisting.
It is. It's a lot of work. Anyway, thanks so much for having me on.
Yes,
had a great conversation.
Yes. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and thank you so much. She is such an incredible person. She's an incredible woman. And, And thank you so much, Rabia, and the 45th Pod for joining us this week. You can hear the full interview in a bonus episode this week. If you're not a patron, you can become one for $1, and you'll unlock all of the bonus content.
Yeah. You can't afford not to.
Yeah, she's truly brilliant.
That's what I tell my husband all the time.
Oh, yeah? It's for funsies. Yeah, but no, you were saying, Jordan, she is brilliant.
Yeah, Rabia's just so brilliant.
Amazing.
She's incredible, fantastic.
So well-spoken.
Brilliant, and you can hear the entire interview. We go over a lot of stuff in the interview in our minisode this week. So now I want to talk a little bit about a court filing this week from Mueller's team. As we all know, Mueller is super tight with leaks, like super tight. There hasn't been any information about this investigation that has leaked unless he specifically wants it to leak.
True.
And this week's court filing, not like the Trump White House, which is just Leak Fest.
Yeah.
That's a new concert that's going around. It's Coachella, Lollapalooza, Leak Fest.
Oh my gosh. If you voted for Trump, you get a discount.
And this week's court filing sort of read like a note to the American public about this investigation. Media companies had filed a lawsuit asking for Mueller to release his warrant information on Manafort. So like CNN and Wall Street Journal and Washington Post, they've filed this lawsuit saying, we want to see these warrants.
They're so far behind the general public. We want to see why you broke.
Well, they figured that because he's been indicted, that it's all good to be free. And Mueller responded to the suit in a court filing on Wednesday saying, quote, many aspects of the investigation are factually and legally interconnected. They involve overlapping courses of conduct, relationships, and events, and they rely on similar sources, methods, and techniques. By the way, Mueller uses the Oxford comma, makes him 10 times sexier.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
He continued saying the investigation is not complete and its details remain non-public. And then he goes on to say, quote, the fact that certain charges have been brought does not imply that the special counsel's investigation into the assigned matter is closed, nor does it imply that the search warrant materials could be unsealed at this time without creating a serious risk of jeopardizing the ongoing and interconnected aspects of this investigation. Then finally, the filing said, quote, Media reports about the investigation may be inaccurate or incomplete and may be based on unofficial sources, half-understood facts, and speculation. Okay, that's what we do, though. Like, that's kind of why we're here. But yes, all we have is what you give us to go on. And then Mueller did say he could release 2 of the earlier warrants because they're going to come out in open court anyway, and those lines of investigation are finished. And he offered to give...
Is that Papadopoulos and...
He didn't say specifically what it is, but I'm sure it's... you know what? I really don't know.
Yeah.
He didn't say specifically which those were. But he did offer to give the judge a more detailed presentation of the case in private.
That's reasonable.
And the biggest bombshell of this filing, in my opinion, Mueller says he can't release later warrants because Manafort, quote, has been charged with a subset of his conduct. He's been charged only with a subset of his conduct. So as you know, it's been my theory for a long time that there are upcoming superseding indictments on Manafort for conspiracy.
Right.
Or collusion. It's conjecture, but I'm right.
Right. Yeah, so by saying subset, he just confirms that there will be superseding indictments.
That's what he's saying. He basically was like, just because I indicted him on this doesn't mean there aren't more indictments coming.
And I imagine he doesn't have much breath to waste, so he probably would not just play devil's advocate for no reason.
Good point.
The great thing about this entire release was that this whole court filing, it was multiple pages. And then at the end, he outlines all of the indictments and guilty pleas and everything that the investigation has uncovered. It seems to me like a, hey, the public, here's what's going on. Like this is his way of, quote unquote, leaking what's going on in the investigation. The fact that it's not even close to being over, and hang on to your seats.
I love it.
And that's how he does it. He does it in court filings, and the fact that none of this has gotten out.
That's impressive.
Speaks to the integrity of his team.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And all the allegations that they've been leaking stuff this whole time.
Yeah, no. Every leak has come from the White House. Every single leak. The 49 questions.
All of his terrified aides.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like, man, fuck this shit.
And we know
leak some shit right now.
And we know Trump's into leaking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
P-tape.
Yeah.
We're waiting for it.
God, I hope that's real.
There might be like a porn version, and Stormy might... Oh, we mentioned this, right?
Wait, would there be a not porn version?
Oh, you're right. I guess it would be... I didn't even think of it that way. It's like a sad, like, just videotape.
It's like
to
one
me.
of those little pamphlets to get you to go to Christianity.
It's like, don't be like him.
All right, you guys. Thank you very much. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Mueller, She Wrote. The she in Mueller, She Wrote is no accident. Did you know that we are 100% women-owned and operated? Every single person that helps make this podcast possible identifies as a woman. Our creative and web design, our engineer and producers, our editors and digital media manager, our agent, and our ad execs, our merchandising manager, our writers, the facility manager for the July 3rd live show, and even the postal service clerk who helps me with shipping. All women and all LGBTQ plus allies. We will continue to employ and partner with women as our podcast grows, but we could use your help. Please support women in podcasting by visiting MuellerSheWrote.com and become a patron today. All right, are you guys ready for the Fantasy Indictment League?
Yes.
Ha! Today, we have a very special Fantasy Indictment League. As you all know, this week, the NFL owners, led by Commissioner Goodell, voted to require all personnel and players to stand during the national anthem, and they would fine any player that did not. They did give the players the option to stay in the locker room if they wished to protest. So for this week's Fantasy Indictment League, we have a very special guest to comment on this and to give us his indictment fantasy picks. He was the punter for the Minnesota Vikings for 8 seasons, where he set 8 individual team records. During his tenure, he became an outspoken advocate for same-sex marriage and gay rights, and many believe it's what caused him to be released from the Vikings after the 2012 season.
Oh, wow.
He's made appearances on Ellen and does extensive activism and philanthropic work. So let's listen to this interview.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm so sorry. You are a member of the Factory of Sadness.
Yeah, I know. People have been apologizing to me my whole life for having been born in Akron.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth of it.
Yeah. It's they've been having a rough century of it.
Really well. Actually, I think their only winning streak against the Vikings was from 1986 to 1989.
Okay.
With Bernie Kosar and Marty Schottenheimer.
Oh, nice.
That was like the one time we ever did well. And then, of course, the fumble, and then the drive, and then we were done.
Yeah. How quintessentially Brownsian.
I know. And it really hurts me because I'm a lifelong NFL fan. My dad took me to games when I was young at Cleveland Stadium. And now, with their new rule, that I guess, I don't know if I think it was the owners who voted unanimously, except for one guy abstained from San Francisco, that if you want to protest the national anthem, you can do that as long as you stay in the locker room. We don't want to see you actually protest the anthem. And that's kind of what I wanted to have you on this week for, was to tell me what your thoughts are on this new rule.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think it's absolutely a conversation that people should be having. And my thoughts, which will surprise no one who knows me, is that can I swear on this podcast? Is that allowed?
We'll do all the swears.
Okay, sweet. I think it's complete and utter bullshit, because the simple fact is that the owners have been looking for a way to try to make this protest go away. The Colin Kaepernick originally started to protest police brutality, and he took a knee during the national anthem, which is fine. That's his right. He's an American citizen. He's not disrupting the football game. He's not taking plays off. He's just saying that, hey, America right now is not upholding its end of the social contract, and I would like to draw attention to that and hopefully get this fixed.
And as a matter of fact, he was sitting, and then he spoke to an Army Ranger veteran who said, perhaps you should take a knee, because it gives reverence to the flag and the country without,
it's more respectful.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm a veteran, and I appreciated that, and I've been on his side since the beginning. So
yeah, no, and the thing that's unfortunate is that when you look at the demographic makeup of the NFL, the vast majority of players are African American.
Right.
The vast majority of owners are old, rich white guys, and
it's kind of a picture of America.
Right. And so you see that they have very certain mindsets, particularly the ones that are donating to Trump's political campaign, and, ones like Bob McNair, who has gone on record as speaking out against LGBTQ rights and other social issues. And it's like you look at this and they're trying so hard not to shoot themselves in the dick, but they just do it every time.
So now, you said that you wanted to talk a little bit about the dead man switch.
Yeah. So I saw the news. I think it was 2 days ago or 3 days ago, something like that, where they're reporting that Mueller has a dead man switch, and I know it's probably I think what's been reported is that he has a bunch of stuff ready to send off to justice in case the investigation gets shut down. Right. There
are several sealed indictments on the docket right now. I think that a lot of them are superseding indictments for Manafort. He's hinted several times that we're not done with Manafort. We can't.
Manafort's screwed.
But we can't really, we can't release the warrants and all that stuff because it's still part of an ongoing investigation.
Right.
I think he's got superseding sealed indictments for Manafort on conspiracy. But he hasn't released those yet, obviously, because he's not.
Well, there's more people to gather up.
Yeah, there are a few. There's still some loose ends, right?
Yeah, I would say more than a few.
Yeah, I mean, just the Manafort case alone has 30 subpoenaed witnesses?
I think so. It's like, and so that's the other thing that gets me is like all the Republicans saying like, oh, there's investigations going on. There's nothing there and nothing's happened. It's like, you assholes investigated Benghazi for what, 3 years, 5 years? Yeah. Whatever. Right. 0 indictments. Nothing there. We already have how many indictments? Like, and it's been 22, and it's been a little over a year.
89 felony charges. One guy's in prison right now, Van der Swan.
Yeah.
He's the little, like, low level, nobody's ever heard of him. He just lied to the FBI in his testimony about Gates, right?
Yeah, they're just working their way up the ladder, like.
Yeah, well, that's how it works, and I feel like, have you guys ever watched, I don't know, any mob movies? Have you ever watched Casino or Goodfellas?
Right.
Have you ever seen The Wire or anything? The way that investigations work is you roll up the little guys.
Yeah.
To get the big guys.
Yeah, and oftentimes it isn't even the big crime that you get them for. You get them for tax evasion.
Right, you get them for little stuff. And specifically with Manafort, they get him on all these money charges. They actually turned in these charges against him in 2005 to Chuck Rosenberg, and he turned down the case. And now the whole reason that the Republicans are like, oh, it's past the statute of limitations. I'm like, yes, unless it rolls up into a current case.
Right, exactly.
Which is another hint that they've got him on conspiracy.
Yeah.
I mean, just they're dropping all kinds. And Mueller is very calculating. He's very methodical. Everything has a purpose. And he, in his filings, he kind of tells a little bit of a story to give a bone to the public and be like, I got this.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like seeing what Mueller's been doing, and also the lack of leaks from his camp. Like that's a very heartening sign, and that these are serious people taking it very seriously, and as opposed to maybe say Devin Nunes, who
gets a midnight run to the White House and then he Ubers away into the night.
Right. Like, I still don't know how he's on the Intelligence Committee.
He's recused himself, right? Because of that midnight run and that leak. And then,
yet somehow he's back.
Then you get the pardoning of Scooter Libby, which is just a big middle finger to James Comey.
It's just, oh my God.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely ridiculous. This dead man switch, though, really intrigues me because they reported this about a month ago, and it came up again yesterday. That basically, if Mueller gets fired, he'll just drop all these indictments that he's been sitting on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing actually that interests me about that is the timing of that coming out is it makes you wonder behind the scenes, okay, how much pressure are they trying to put on him? Because usually that's a play that you make where okay, they're looking very seriously at doing this. I need to let them know that if you do, there's going to be consequences.
Yeah, well, another thing that Mueller did, which is amazing, is the way that he set up his group, and he wrote some policy for DOJ, is that he's got special assistants to the special counsel and to him. And they are allowed to continue their line of prosecution without him. He could drop off the earth tomorrow. But he's given this to his lawyers to say, all right, you're the Manafort guy, you're the Kushner guy, you're the this guy, you're the that guy. And you have authority now to run these investigations to their completion without me. And so he's really just this direct, I call them mini Muellers. Like he's just directing this this whole operation and setting up these fail safes because he knows that, he was around during Watergate. He knows what happens.
Exactly.
Counsel can get fired. The attorney general, deputy attorney general, they could all be fired at any moment or quit because they promised that they would. And I think that's evident in that time that Sessions and Noel, the Solicitor General, and Rosenstein went out to dinner publicly and allowed their photos to be taken. That was kind of like a public show of solidarity with one another. So I'm not surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised that that Mueller and Rosenstein and Justice and the FBI, even Christopher Wray, who is a Trump appointee, and Rosenstein's a Trump appointee, have like 17 backup plans.
Right. Yeah. And a part of me is actually really hoping that like one of those backup plans is they just throw a bunch of copies in one of those big manila envelopes and then, drop them at the local newspaper.
like anonymous. From anonymous.
Right. Yeah. You see it at the end of like every terrible movie.
Right. It's all the President's Men all over again.
Yeah. Because I know that's not going to happen, but it's fun to think about.
It is. And it's also kind of, we're almost like, go ahead and fire Rosenstein. Go ahead and see what happens.
Right.
But yeah, that dead man switch is an interesting thing. And this whole, the degradation of justice and the FBI is very frightening to me.
Yeah, no, it should be very concerning because I don't think a lot of people realize how much of our legal and justice system and kind of our political system in general isn't necessarily codified by law. It's more just accepted norms.
Yeah. I think that once we do flip Congress, I think we'll start seeing a bunch of laws being passed that solidify these norms. Right.
Yeah. Because it's clear at this point that we have been trusting, but I don't think we can afford to just go by norms anymore because we've seen what happened when a bad faith actor comes into play and works to subvert those norms.
Yeah. All right. Well, I remember I saw you on Ellen. You did a kick into a giant.
Oh, yeah, the giant hoop thing.
That was held up by a crane. I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And you put it through like 2 times. I was like, what?
Yeah, so funny story on that one. So kind of behind the scenes magic. So when I was warming up, like practicing it, I nailed it like 5 times in a row. Then we go to do it live when they're filming it, and my first 3 kicks like were either just over or just under. I was like, come on. They're like, oh, don't worry, we'll fix it. We'll fix it.
You should edit that out. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not quite that good, but I was pretty good.
Yeah, but we put it in, and I couldn't. So
yeah. So
congratulations.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And yeah, like I said before, I think these are very, very serious issues to discuss that everyone should be discussing because even like. This is something that I saw a lot in the NFL is that people like to think, oh, you're just an athlete, right? Just shut up, play sports, stick to football. But the thing is that we're all human beings first and foremost, and we all live in the society that we create. And if we're not invested in that society, if we're not interested in taking steps to keep it stable, well, civilization has a 100% failure rate throughout the years.
Yeah.
There has never been a civilization that has lasted longer than like 400, 500 years or so.
Yeah, I think Rome was the big one. And then
Yeah. And even then Rome was broken into fairly separate entities where I think there were a couple Chinese dynasties that lasted probably around the same length as Rome. But yeah, usually right around like 400, 500 years is right about when things start falling apart. And, we're coming pretty close to that, that 300-year point right now?
We're early.
Yeah. So yeah, if we want to avoid the same fate that every other civilization has had befall them, it might behoove us to, pay some attention and try to do things differently. So yeah.
You would think.
You would think.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.
All right. Thanks. You too.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, you guys. There's a full 45-minute interview, and that will be available this week as a mini-sode. So if you're not a patron, please consider becoming one. For as little as $1, you'll have access to the full interview along with all of our mini-sodes, all of our bonus content, the weekly newsletter, the MSW book club, all sorts of gifts. So head to MuellerSheWrote.com. Become a patron today. I'm sorry for baking an ad into the regular episode. But
in this case, I think since we're doing something new,
yeah, I think it's
also
worth
it's just
it.
two really awesome interviews. Not even trying to just sell it. It's just like we literally don't have time to put them in the regular episode, and the only format we have is to have you pay $1 to listen to the minisodes. So
yes,
sorry, but
and
they're
the
really
episode
cool.
is already so crazy because of all the news this week, and that Brody story was just off the chain.
Much. Yeah.
A
So-
lot of detail.
All right, you guys ready for sabotage?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a couple people that haven't been with us for long enough, and they need a refresher on what you mean when you say sabotage.
That's right.
That's a really good point. I was going to bring that up this week.
Okay.
Oh, good. Sorry.
What sabotage is that there's usually a late breaking story right before we record that might have an impact on our fantasy indictment league, or it's just a crazy late breaking story that we would not have otherwise got in. So that is what sabotage is. And so the idea is to sabotage our fantasy indictment league by adding this crazy new story.
Yeah, throwing something in a wrench into the situation. Yeah.
And what's funny is you say throwing a wrench into the situation.
Right.
Sabotage comes from the word sabot, which is French for shoe, where the workers threw shoes into the machinery to sabotage them.
That's hilarious.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, revolution.
And I want to say you told us that like maybe 20 episodes back.
Yeah.
It rings a bell.
Somewhere in there.
Exactly.
It's definitely a Les Mis move.
I dig it.
Moment.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, sabotage. Yes. This week, there is now video evidence that Intrater and Vexelberg met with Cohen at Trump Tower during the transition. If Vexelberg sounds familiar, it should. His cousin, Intrater, owns and operates a company called Columbus Nova, which paid $500,000 to the Cohen slush fund for access to Trump. If you remember, Cohen set up that slush fund selling access to Trump, and it was called Essential Consulting. It's fucking essential. You got it.
I love it.
Avenatti released this information that he got from a suspicious activity report, an SAR, leaked by a law enforcement officer who thought it was weird that two of them disappeared, but one of them didn't, showing payments from AT&T, Korean Aerospace, Novartis, and Columbus Nova. This doesn't really change my fantasy draft because I already added Vexelberg and Intrater to the list, but it's definitely a late-breaking weekend story. So I wanted to tell you all about it.
It corroborates our picks, if nothing else.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like, oh, back up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Woohoo. Makes sense.
All right, you guys ready for Q&A?
Yes. Oh, yes, that's my favorite. I forgot.
Fave,
It is, and it today is a different Q&A because we had one major question that's going to take up most of the time. But I wanted to, first of all, Mel Deco says, quote, "I'm new to podcasts, but this is the best find ever. A deeper dive than just about anything I've heard. And I remember my mom watching Murder, She Wrote religiously when I was a kid. Warning, F-bombs dropped in harmony and hilarity. 5 stars.
Yes.
And Justin says, quote, "A beacon of light, laughter, and justice in these dark times of American carnage." 5 stars.
Very nice.
Thank you so much. And guys, please head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating.
It makes my day. I wake up and I read them.
It's really fun to read them.
We could really use
Even
it.
the constructive criticism is great.
Honestly, yeah, whatever you want to say.
I'll take it.
We'll take it.
Especially the constructive criticism.
I think if you've been listening to this pod for a while, you know me well enough to know that I take what you say seriously. I take it to heart, and I will make adjustments. Although we aren't going to stop laughing.
Right,
And
we can't stop
Aren't
that.
going to
we're
stop saying
sticking
fuck.
on that.
That's how we cope.
No. Yeah. Your
Fucking
whole
laugh.
opening bit.
We have all the
fucking-
swears. Yes. And finally, we got an email from a concerned fan who took issue with something I said last week. The statement I made was that if the FBI and the DOJ had leaked out or announced that the Trump campaign was under investigation and had Hillary won, the legitimacy of her presidency could have been questioned. So I want to elaborate. I do not for 1 second think we are better off right now. I would trade everything for a Clinton presidency. I definitely do not overlook everything Trump has done, and I apologize if that's the message that anyone got. If there's any question about how deeply this affects me personally, check out the end of episode 11. I think I start crying.
Yeah, I think so too.
I hate to think that anyone would postulate that I'm apathetic toward all the horrible shit that Trump has done. I don't believe that we ended up with the best option. I 100% agree with you that the Clinton presidency with a dash of illegitimacy would be a billion times better than a Trump presidency.
Right.
I truly hope that no one inferred that I think we are better off.
Yeah, I think I specifically also said that that Comey made the best decision he could, and that may have implied or added to that confusion.
Yeah, I think you said this is the best option, and
right.
I don't think that that's what you like. That's
right. I didn't mean that this is the best
Yeah.
situation to be in. Being that he was in that situation, he made the best choice he possibly could have. Right.
I think, yeah, exactly. In that situation, if we're looking at upholding our values of just a federal Bureau of Investigation and what role they're supposed to play, for them to overlook that was going to undermine that specific investigation.
For sure.
Right.
Organization.
I do want to say that I don't think anyone in this podcast thinks that we are in a better situation than we would be if Hillary had won the election.
Yeah, we definitely don't.
No one here thinks that, but I do understand that you may have gotten that message. And regarding Comey, he did say he thought Hillary was going to win, and that underpins my point. Comey was okay reopening her case because he thought she was going to win.
We all did, yeah.
Meaning his release wouldn't taint a Trump win.
Right. He let his bias actually kind of get in the way there.
Yeah.
But his bias I can understand, at least. Even if it were the other way around, I can see how anybody would come to that conclusion. And it's like it was just a bad situation all around. It's not like, it was a good thing in any way.
Yeah.
It was just the best, worst decision,
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to really test out our justice system, not a good way to do it. And by the way, in his email, in this email from our listener, she said, what?
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's her.
Oh, yeah, it's a she. She says, quote, "You don't get to Harrison Bergeron the presidential candidates to even the playing field."
Exactly.
And well remembered, first of all, that I signed my emails with a Vonnegut quote, and that's a Vonnegut quote. Harrison Bergeron is a dystopian future piece of fiction where no one's allowed to be smarter or richer or better looking than anyone else.
How do you swing that?
Sauce for the goose, so to speak.
Okay.
Everyone is literally equal. And by not outing the Trump investigation and outing the HRC email investigation, which was already public and didn't jeopardize any investigation because she was exonerated, that the FBI and DOJ were ensuring that they did not Harrison Bergeron the election just for the sake of evening the odds, right?
Right.
They did what they thought was right. Had they leaked the Trump investigation and had Trump won anyway because Russia got him the 77,000 votes he needed in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, then Trump would have a reasonable argument that the investigation was political.
Yeah.
And no one would have any problem with firing Mueller at that point, or even appointing him in the first place, and Trump would still be president and would have gotten away with everything.
Exactly. And I'll just add that it sounds like Comey was just being a forward thinker, and there was bias at play with believing that Hillary would win. It's a bias I can relate to, but it is still a bias. And he tried to
every poll.
Yeah, he tried to see the future and say, okay, this person is going to win because I think I know how this works, and I'm going to make sure that they can win with legitimacy. Whereas if he thought Trump was going to win, I think he would have done the same thing. He would have been like, okay, I can't do anything that's going to affect the winner's outcome because the public opinion will be, chaotic.
Right.
Yeah, chaotic. I feel like it's just he is trying to do the best. We couldn't have done a better job, I don't think.
Well, yeah, my question is, what would you have done?
Exactly.
So now what we have is nowhere near good, but we are in a better position than we would be had the FBI and DOJ come out with the Trump investigation prior to the election, because then Trump would be able to say it was political.
Right.
And I appreciate that from time to time, by the way, that y'all are going to disagree with me. And I have to say, particularly with Comey being my homie, I have to say, though, that I think the best thing is that we can talk about it like grown-ass women with awesome Vonnegut references.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And I'll never know enough to know if what they did in 2016 was right. But what I do know is that we are where we are, and we have to get where we're going fast before Trump completely unwinds this country and this democracy. So many fought and died to preserve it. And I think about that. I reflect on that on this Memorial Day weekend. Jordan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say unfortunate nature of the effect that Comey coming out with that release of the reopening of the investigation had on the election is obviously devastating. But the one pillar that we have in this country, I think, is the pillar of justice. And that's the pillar that's always it has to remain strong and uncompromised. It's the only thing that can protect us against the other branches of government. And
it has stood the test of time.
Yeah.
It won out in Nixon. It won out in Clinton. And if it does not win out now, we are doomed.
Right.
I was going to do the fucked harmony.
Oh, you ready? We are fucked. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yes, sorry.
Go for it.
Go ahead, AG.
No, that's it.
Oh, a triangle of we're out. We have nothing to say.
No. But no. I was gonna say it's like there's it's a short-term loss. Mm-hmm. But it's a long-term gain. And saying that, I get, can be triggering to people, but it's strictly in the context of the Justice Department.
Exactly.
It is sacrificing a short-term gain
Very good point.
for a long-term gain.
And if this goes the way I think it will go, and the Justice Department and justice holds the way I think it will hold because of the way our founders set up the Constitution. By the way, if you're a fucking gun nut, you should listen. You care about the Constitution so much. Listen to this part.
Just one part.
If it holds up, I think it will be a necessary and incredible test of our separation of powers. And I think it will come out in favor of justice.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Martin Luther said, the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it will do that in this case. And I'm hoping, at least me personally, I'm hoping that justice will win the day.
Yeah.
And that everyone who has sacrificed on this Memorial Day weekend will not have done so in vain, because that is one of the most important tenets that we hold in this country.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Well said, AG.
I love you guys. You really are the best listeners in the land.
Seriously, they listen to 2 hours of this stuff, man.
I know.
Season 2.
Yeah, they let us be loosey-goosey today. Thank you.
Yes, we'll tighten it up, guys.
Loosey-goosey party Memorial Day.
I'm not going to edit much out of
Not
this.
party.
I don't want to.
Sounds-
I think we should let this go.
Okay.
I think we've had really great discussions. I think I interrupted you plenty during your broidy.
But I loved it. I honestly love the conversations in between. Yeah.
I do too. And I think we should put it all out there, and happy season 2.
Yes.
And have a safe and wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I'm AG.
I'm Jaleesa Johnson.
I'm Jordan Coburn.
And this is Mueller, She Wrote. Mueller, She Wrote is produced and engineered by AG with editing and logo design by Jaleesa Johnson. Market consulting by Amanda Reeder at Unicorn Creative. Our digital media director and subscriber managers are Jordan Coburn and Sarah Hirschberger Valencia. Our partners are fastgrass.org and joysteaspoon.com. Fact-checking and research by AG with support from Jaleesa Johnson and Jordan Coburn. Mueller, She Wrote staff includes AG, Jaleesa Johnson, Jordan Coburn, Sarah Hirschberger Valencia, Jesse Egan, and Sarah Lee Steiner. Our web design and branding are by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios, and our website is MuellerSheWrote.com.